All right, here we are, another episode of the Orange Hammer podcast. We are on Zoom with Wilton James. We went to almost all of high school together.
Yeah.
Shout out to Oakwood Friends School that I actually drove through there this past June.
Oh, really?
Showed my girlfriend the campus, the incredible new solar array that they have,
Dude, yeah.
and
I seen that.
I ran into Chad of all
Mm.
people, who was actually he was on the short list of like faculty who was very chill and nice to me. So it was pretty cool to see him as the new head of the school. He looked old, but we all do, I guess. It was pretty surreal, honestly. Have you been
Yeah.
back since you graduated?
Dude, it's so funny that you said that because I actually was there like 3 weeks ago cleaning their freaking boilers.
No shit. Wow, full circle, man. That's
Dude, like
crazy.
everybody's completely different. Yeah, like I met the new maintenance guy. I was like, yeah, full circle. I never in wildest dreams did I think that I would be like fixing the heating in the school that I went to, the beautiful school that I went to, which is completely changed. Dude, I went in the main building. Yo, it's completely different. It's a whole nother world. It's completely like refurnished the
Yeah.
walls. I don't know if you went inside, but it's like
I
you
I jumped into a couple of buildings. I was with two people, so we had some stuff to do. But I will
yeah.
say, for me personally, it was very surreal because, as you know, I went to Poughkeepsie Day School right up the road,
Mm-hmm.
and my whole tenure there, um, the same lady worked the front desk, Anita Jones,
Oh
who
yeah.
is the wife of who was my fifth grade teacher, Dan Jones. And then I go into Oakwood, and Anita's working the front desk at Oakwood. And I was like, what are you doing here? And she was like, I traded up from not so good to even better. And I was like, it's just crazy to like even run into you. And then,
Yeah.
because she's more than just that. She's kind of a family friend, and her and Shirley, who was a teacher of mine, and my dad all link up all the time because they all work for the walkway over the Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just like surreal running into her at a front desk position at a school I went to, but a different school. It just like it was so many weird things kind of all happening at the same time. But then of course, like hugs and how are you and blah blah blah. And Chad was like, Anita can't say one bad thing about you. She always
Mm-hmm.
talks your praise. And I was like, yeah, I'm different than the kid who got thrown out of your high school. Things have changed. There's
Yeah.
more facets to my
Yeah.
personality than idiot who got thrown out of high school for being an idiot. But we don't have to dive into that.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but
Oh my God, the amount of people that are just in and out of that school, but whatever.
yeah, I
Whatever.
mean, that was,
There was
you
like
know,
four people that like I should have graduated with, but like didn't. But like that's just the times are changing.
yeah,
Times
I
are changing.
mean, when what happened, which we're not going to get into
Of course.
for the listeners, but like even you and I didn't end on fantastic terms. And through the power of social media, and more importantly, I think just maturing and realizing life's a little short to care
Exactly.
about what happened when we were 16.
Yeah,
We've at least developed a respect for each other, and
exactly.
we're adults now. um
Yeah.
but I was super fascinated when I saw you were doing the streaming thing with the video games. It's
Hmm.
become not a facet of the world that I understand, mostly because I don't really video game. I had I think the last one I had was a PS3, and that
Hmm.
was to watch my college roommate play Call of Duty and to play DVDs. Like I was not good. And that's probably why I didn't get into it, just because I wasn't that good.
Hmm.
But the world of video games combined with the streaming world exploded.
Exactly.
I
Like
was super,
overnight almost.
yeah,
Overnight almost.
Yeah.
And like it's crazy how there's kind of like a connotation between whether it's like cool or not cool, but I really feel like it's a way to communicate with people when you just, because a lot of people are inside nowadays, and like the whole thing with COVID and all of that, it exploded. Just not only because people just weren't able to afford video games, they're able to like see it, someone else playing it before they want to, which is like it gives a way for somebody to save money. But at the same time, when I'm streaming, that whole couch play is gone. Like when you're
Mhm.
sitting on your couch, when you have a bunch of people watching you play, you relive those couch days of just not only 2 3 people on the couch, but you could have like the whole country watching you play, giving you tips and stuff like that. It's more so of like a camaraderie thing. Somebody may have played the game before and just trying to like give you tips, but I really feel it's just a strong community aspect for people just to get along and just find somewhere they belong.
Yeah, I think the
That's
medium is irrelevant. We all want a sense of community and belonging, and it can be construction, sports, video games, it doesn't matter. We all want to
it's that
have that
team.
group, that
It's that
team. Yeah.
like I speaking of Oakwood, like that was like the first time like I ever was on like a team sport. And it's like I look back on those days and it's just like just having a team and just having like someone like a brother or depending on the team, a sister, just being a part of something. And like I just feel like a lot of people want to be sheltered and just by themselves. But even if your team is small, you can still have that team, but you have to develop a good team, like with a good bench too, because you're not able to be your all every single day. So if you have those good resources and all those things just to keep you up, then like that's really that all that matters. Which send me back into like the whole streaming thing, because you don't really get to see many people anymore. It's just a way to bring people together. And like that's really all I'm really about. With our small school setting, like I've I've grasped onto having small groups, because that's really the only way to learn. Like the only way to really learn is to have that real one-on-one time with whoever is the leader in that group, because there's the reason why they're the leader. They can talk and they can lead people to the point where they don't have to be in front. They lead from the back. And that's who I aspire to be every single day. And I every time I go onto a job site, every time I turn a video game on, I just try to stay as positive as I can, as well as just at the same time just noticing my surroundings and how I like you different actions with different people create different effects. So I'm trying to border that down to where people can just come together and just try to stay on the same page, because you may not be on the same paragraph, but as long as you're on the same page, that's really that all that matters. With any type of task with HVAC and stuff like that. And I told you like last week, like I unfortunately got hurt with and like I'm in like somewhat of like a concussion protocol. But it really takes team play to get the job done and for everybody to feel safe.
I mean, everything you're saying, it's so relatable and accurate. I mean, from my perspective, when you were talking about small teams and needing a leader, I can think of just literally I was the leader of every small group project in college for business classes. Like most of the high level, if not all of the high level business classes, at some point in the semester, we broke up into teams of 5 people and we had to create some sort of, you know, company breakdown that turned into a PowerPoint presentation that eventually would be presented to the class of the last week of the semester. And, I'm not saying I was the best one, but I naturally became the leader because mostly no one else wanted to do it. And after, by the time I'm a junior, I'm taking the same types of classes with the same people. When you're a freshman, anybody's jumping in that 101 business class, but by the time you're in your third year, you're seeing the same people who are trying to get our business degree. So not, again, anything but the expert, but around and paying attention enough to be like, oh, who's terrible at that particular skill? That person. So let's just give them something else to do on this group project, and let's take that skill and give it over to that person, because they might not be the best, but they don't mind it. They can get it done on time, and at least just keeping the train moving. That completely translates over to me in the modern GC world. I've got 100 subcontractors. They all have lives, personalities, wife problems, kids problems, whatever it may be, and you have to factor all that in. If John Doe plumber is going through a problem with a wife or a kid or an illness, I need to either have a backup or plan accordingly that this 3-day job might take 9 days because he's struggling with some stuff, and just I can freak out. I can let the customer freak out because they see me freak out, or I can just know it, plan ahead, and just be like, look, there's not a whole lot that can be done. This is going to take an extra week, or we can really throw aggressive more money at it and I can get somebody in here last second, or we can just, slow it down and, be aware of the problem and just communicate. And in my field and your field, 90% of what we do is communication, and 100% of what separates us is communication, because you're not different from another HVAC person. You use the same power tools. You're dealing with the same, 5 to 6 manufacturers of equipment, and it's hot, it's cold, it works or it doesn't. But your ability to communicate properly, show up on time, not freak out, be respectful, also how you handle the stress of a problem and how you communicate that problem. It's not your fault if you get there and something's broken, but it's your fault if you go, it'll take 1 hour and $500 and it takes a week and 10 grand. Then you screwed up big. In fact, that's like, we need lawyers. That was a bad example of numbers, but a good example of, you just have to use your correct, calm problem solving. You and I are no different. We're just at different levels. I need somebody like you to join the team to create the house that I'm building, but our ways of operating are identical.
Yeah.
It's just a different medium.
It really does come down to communication, and it's staying calm and being able to have the confidence to tell your the client that something can't get done. You have to tell yourself that they don't want to hear nothing but good. They don't want to hear nothing but good. And it's your job as a professional to not tell them all the good. And if you're only telling them the good, then not only are you lying to them, you're gonna come across a problem that you're not addressing. And not only is the problem going to get bigger, you're not communicating that. And our school, like, I'm not gonna say you had to go to college, but you pretty much had to go to college. And I am so grateful for my public relations degree and my communications degree, because not only do I know how to communicate with my words, I know how to communicate with my hands and my body, because the homeowners are looking at that. Like, they're looking at every single thing that you're doing, because the minute you step onto their property, the minute you get out of your truck, the minute that door slams, they are watching you. You are on their time, and they're watching your nonverbal and your verbal cues, because they don't want you in their house. Like, unless you're like their handyman, their go-to man, they're nervous that you're even there. Which is why the first thing I do before I even get down there is I run the unit, just so I can be like, just so they can throw that excuse out the window that, oh, well, it was running before you got here. I throw that out, because you have to show them your confidence. Our job is 90% confidence, and then if you know what you're doing, the 10%, like, the machinery, the tools, it's going to come second nature to us. I've only been doing this for a couple of years, but like, what to grab, what you need. if you show up to work with a crappy attitude, throw the whole rest of your day out of the window because you're going to have a bad day. And
And
if
then
it's
also, you
Mhm.
should really, beyond dealing with your customer, why are you having a bad attitude? Like,
Exactly.
that's more important
Hmm.
than any customer thing or any dollar thing. Like, what happened? What
Exactly.
happened to you in your personal life? What most likely are you not addressing and just kind of letting anger you? It could be something with your health, something with your
Hmm.
food, something with your girlfriend, something
Yep.
with your dog. I mean, it doesn't matter, but you can't let anything in life bottle and then translate to you taking it out on a customer that
Yes.
there no longer is going to be your customer. And in your case, a little different than mine because I get customers who call me with no problems and they want a price for a dream. That's very different than like, yo, it's August and the AC doesn't work.
Yeah.
I need somebody out here yesterday because I've got two dogs who are dying and I'm about to go get a hotel room. Like, that's a very different interaction.
Hmm.
That was me 2 months ago. Luckily, I have not one, but two HVAC crews from two separate companies who
Hmm.
showed up Monday, one at 8, one at 8:30. And the guy at 8 was like, you need an $8 capacitor. I'm already getting it from the truck. And I tried to pay him and he said no. And the other crew showed up just after the fact. And I was like, hey, man, this guy beat you. Here's $100. Go get breakfast on me. Sorry. And they were like, oh, that's very nice of you. And even like told the person who gave me their contact that that was super nice. And I was like,
Oh
hey, they
wow.
showed up. Like,
Yeah.
it's not my fault. My other guy beat him. I
Hmm.
was trying to get them on a Sunday when I called them on a Saturday because it was that hot. North Carolina heat is real down here.
Yeah.
And I've got a dog. Luckily, my girlfriend took us in and was just like, bring him over. Come on.
Yeah.
I've got power. And I was like, okay, cool. So
Hell
saved
yeah.
the day. But, you know, you are dealing with a lot more um just upsetness in
Chances are
general.
they're pissed off before I even
Yeah.
get there. Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't know. Well, okay, so let's break it down a little bit. First of all, the they is average homeowners. And when
Yeah.
we're talking about average homeowners, this is not an insult. It is literally the reason I started this podcast. Your average homeowner does not know the
No.
workings of their HVAC system. They don't know what ductwork is. They don't know what grills are. They don't
The
know what a
difference
return
is
is. They
most people
don't
don't know
know,
the differences between a furnace and a boiler. Most people
yeah,
don't know the
or
difference.
what a heat pump is.
Yep.
They don't know if their air handler is in the attic or the crawl space because they don't go there regularly.
Hmm.
So you've got to come and fix. First of all, you've got to diagnose a problem. Then
Yeah.
you've got to hope you've got the parts on your truck to fix it. And then also you have to speak to somebody in German because it's
Yeah.
basically another language. And just like a finance guy can sound really, really smart simply by using a bunch of terms you don't understand. Oh, max growth and blah, 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 and equitable this and maturity that. Like, sure, you can throw it all around, but at the end of the day, you're putting my stuff in one of 10 things and it's dependent on the market. So,
Hmm.
like, you're not really a guru. This is what you decided to do with your living. Whereas you can literally like make someone's day in an hour. In my
Yeah.
particular case with that blown capacitor, for listeners, the capacitor is not even as big as this water bottle. It's like the size of a
It's
small Coke can.
exactly.
It's a little silver thing. It's an electronic part. They blow, and you got to pop it out and pop in a new one.
Yep.
And it's super uncomplicated for guys like you and me, but it is not something a homeowner could do. They would probably not even know how to turn off the unit correctly to do that. They might not even know how to unscrew the panel in the right way, let alone have
Yeah.
that drill or the drill bit or
Mhm.
whatever it might take.
And like
So,
that's when it really comes to the integrity of the technician to not try to get one over on the unfortunate homeowner that doesn't really know what's going on in their own home.
right, because you
You
could
have
just as
to,
easily walk
it's
in and say, you need a new unit.
exactly because now, I mean, it may be yay commission at the end of the week, but at the same time, you want to build a rapport. You want to be able to come back to that house. You don't want the next tech you don't want the next tech going there and then they're getting a story from the homeowner about how the last tech did this, did that, and now you're trying to piggyback off the last tech. Sometimes when I go to the homeowners, I tell them like I don't care about what the last tech did. I assure you that like you're in good hands. Like you can show up with no arms and just have confidence, and they will feed off that. It is all about confidence. It's not even if you portray it, but and then actually do it, but you have to be able to get down in their basement without them like looking at you like, you know what I'm saying? You have to be able to be that strong person right then for that whole hour and a half, depending on what you're doing at that person's residence. You are quote unquote their savior for for that allotted time. So the least thing you can do is show them respect and not try to take advantage of them.
Yeah, I mean, when my system broke, the tiniest bit of backstory, like a couple years ago, it broke, and it was probably a capacitor again. I wasn't paying attention then, but the tech who is like right under my main guy, David, shout out David Clark and Maynor, saved me so many times. His tech came out and was like, look, I got it back on, you're running, but FYI, you're running at about 80%. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, you're running at about 80% efficiency. I was like, cool. How do we get the 20% back? Do we replace this, replace that? And he just kind of chuckled. He was like, there's no getting it back.
Yeah, you're not getting it back.
You need a new system.
Yeah.
You need a new air handler. Your ducts are undersized. They were code. Now they're not. You need new everything. And at the time that was like $7,000. Now that would be about 10 grand.
Yeah.
And when it broke 2 months ago, in my head, I was like, it's gone. This was the moment. Like, I need to do everything. And I was expecting it. That's why I called both of those companies, because I wanted to get competitive pricing.
Of course, definitely.
And
very smart.
And David was like, look, man, it's just a capacitor. I've got you turned back on. You're still at that 80%. But between you and me, I would ride this till it dies. And then I would replace everything. Like, you've made it clear you don't want to live here forever. You're going to turn it into a rental. Like, when you build your new house, we could give you a deal and do your new house and this house at the same time for a little bit of a discount. And then you'd be set for 20 years with your tenants. And I was like, that's probably what I'll do. I'll just wait for it to really die.
Do you know what kind of refrigerant you're running on? Do you know if it's R22 or 410A?
I don't. I know
I'm wondering, because if it is R22, then yes, take your friend's advice, because what they're gonna want to do is if it breaks, they're gonna want to try to switch you to 410A because of the whole phasing out of like the EPA, of the HFCs and all that stuff. Like, they're trying to get rid of the bad stuff that's going into the ozone.
I think it is the bad stuff, because my house it's an original system and my house is 07.
Okay, so it could be right on that cusp of being R22, but they're even trying to phase out the new stuff like the 410A, and they're trying to switch, because originally refrigeration was like propane, and obviously propane kaboom, they got away from that. And now they're saying that the stuff that we're using is killing the ozone layer. So now they want to switch back to propane. But I think it's kind of funny that like they don't care about the fires that are down on Earth, but up there they don't want the fires.
I mean, I got a natural gas pipe running to this house, so a kaboom is any minute, at this point.
I have natural gas too. Yeah, it's like any minute. Yeah, but that's the one thing. That's the one thing about natural gas propane that honestly scares me, is that there are pretty much bombs. Oil is not flammable, but it's just dirty. It's just, people don't like the smell. If you're running bad, if you're running like a not terrible mixture with your air and your fuel, get really bad sludge in your unit. Furnaces don't really get as dirty, but those boilers get so dirty, and you have to make sure that they're fine-tuned every year, because if you skip 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, like that 4th year, you're going to be cleaning that thing for hours. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that we should jump into, because the average homeowner usually waits for the problem.
Yeah.
There's not enough preventative maintenance happening on all facets of the home, but we're just going to talk HVAC.
Yeah.
And I had a gentleman on the podcast, Frank McBride, is the travel optimizer, travel points optimizer. And he was telling me that his HVAC system was something like 25 or 26 years old. And I was just blown away by that figure, because I'm sure you can confirm most warranties and people like you are saying if you get 10 years, you got your life. Like that was a good life. And
Pretty much, yeah.
That is accurate. And he said that he completely takes responsibility for it lasting, because he pays, forget about once a year, twice a year. He does it in the summer before it gets too hot, gets it serviced, and then in the winter before it gets too cold, gets it serviced again. And I was like, that is definitely overkill, but cannot argue with 25 years of the unit working perfectly. That is a well above average. So, you look at the cost of, $150 service twice a year for 25 years versus $10,000 to $12,000 for a new system. I mean, you can do that quick math in your head or not, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
And, that's something that a lot of homeowners don't think about. They, I'm guilty of it, and I'm a general contractor. I didn't get my unit service this last year. I should have, and it broke, and ended up getting a service with a new capacitor. But that goes down the super long laundry list of home maintenance, and that's a whole nother conversation of just like people who buy homes and don't realize that if you want to be a homeowner, it is a never-ending maintenance job, and you cannot sleep on it.
Like I recently moved into my grandmother's house after she passed, and it's like I'm so used to just having to clean one room, that room, but like now it's like you have to, like, my biggest fear nowadays is like leaving a light on and then like leaving it on for like all week because I just like forgot that it's been on.
And then you
But
get
it's
the
like
electric bill.
I think there's like such a shock when you become a homeowner that you just like it's like a culture shock where like you're so used to like taking care of two rooms, and then like honestly like it's like 5-6 different rooms that I have to worry about now, and it's just like it's just stress in itself. But getting back into the preventative maintenance, I feel like we all don't want bad news.
No, bad news is never fun.
When you bring your car in and God forbid it's a tire leak or just an oil change. They're gonna put your thing on the lift, they're gonna look up, they're gonna tell you something that you should have been dealing with like 2 years ago. They don't want to put themselves in a vulnerable state. And I totally understand that, because every time I go to the dealership, I'm like, look, I want this. Don't take any other wheels off other than that one, this, that, boom, bam, I'm done. And then it's like,
your mistake is going to the dealership, FYI.
yeah, exactly.
I know where you live. I'll give you Wes's number. You take his thing to him, and he'll just fix what you need fixed, and he'll tell you what might break and be like, let me know when you want to fix it on your convenience.
Exactly.
He's 20 minutes from you, man. I got you, because I've got that guy down here, and it does make a difference, because I used to take my Ford truck to the Ford dealer, and they screwed my shit up a lot. And I would always be some argument of them like having to fix it. And I'd be like, yo, I didn't leave the oil cap off. You left the oil cap off when you changed my oil. There's oil all over my engine. Clean the oil. And for the record, that's a true story. And I never went back to Ford. And then I asked my good friend Jeremy, who's become a friend, a business partner, hired me to build his house. He's been on the podcast twice. He was like, dude, here's Vince Gallant's number. Shout out Vince Gallant, Massey Brothers Automotive, family owned in Durham. I never had a problem since. And never upsold ever on anything. The most they've ever done has been like, here's your keys. You might want to think about new tires soon. That's the most upsell I've ever gotten. Yeah. And you know what? I needed new tires. Like you look at the tread. This is not a They don't even sell tires. They were just
Yeah.
FYI, you might want to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's a
you know,
big, it's a big difference when
yeah,
you're leaving there, when you know that a business is not trying to take advantage of you. Like, it comes down to a tech trying to take advantage of a customer.
yeah.
But the difference is, if there's a company that you're using all the time and they're offering some type of service contract and you're not taking advantage of that, then that is a shame on the customer.
Okay,
Only
break that down because that went over my head just a little bit.
if there's a service contract that's available for the customer to take advantage of, in terms of like a yearly subscription
Mhm.
for preventative maintenance on your unit. So, for example, not only will we come to your house for free in the middle of the night, you're due one free part that goes wrong for the whole year. If you're not taking advantage of that, let's say, for example, it's $600 for the whole year. One part off my truck is like $200. So if I go there on a storm and you got crazy problems, I'm easily walking out of there. Well, you're getting charged like $800
Yeah, because what customers don't know is it's about $150 to $200 service fee, which translates
just for
to
me to
a
close my
person
door.
to arrive. That's not to
Exactly.
even look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Then, depending on the company and how things are set up, there could be what's called a diagnostic fee, which is you're getting $100 just to tell the customer what's wrong,
Exactly.
which could take you 5 seconds to
Mm-hmm.
unscrew a panel and see the top of a capacitor looks like a leaking battery. You're like,
Yep.
okay, this is exploded.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is your capacitor.
Mm-hmm.
And then the capacitor, which for the record is $7 for you, you charge the customer
Yep.
whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
75,
Mm-hmm.
$100. And that, I'm not even saying it's robbery. That's just the industry. Like, you get
That's
them in bulk from the supplier and you make money on parts. This is the way the world works.
mm-hmm.
But you add all that up, it's more than that $600. And if you're the customer, you're going to think that $600 is not worth it if you just got a new system. Now, if you're
Exactly.
me with an older system, that's gold, because
Yeah.
$600 covers 2 service calls and a part. So
Yep.
if I want 2 service calls a year for the main 2 seasons and a potential for a part, it's a no-brainer. Whereas if I've got to call you when it breaks, like, yes, I will pay more paying $600 a year, but there's a peace of mind aspect
Yeah.
and a worry aspect that is harder to put on paper.
Yeah.
And the best example I can give on that is a real life example of mine, where one house that I've been redoing, it's done now, but this one house, my roofer, sheetrocker, painter, he just gave me a number for the sheetrock and paint combo that was just too high. It was just too high. I don't know if he had been padding me or he took a loss on another job. I don't know what's going on in his brain, but it was double the competition. Not an extra grand, it was double. So I took that as an FU, and
Mm-hmm.
instead of negotiating for $1,000 off, I just said, you know what? I'm going to use this other person. But the other sheetrocker and painter were 2 separate entities. And the cost, the actual dollar amount, yes, I saved money, but I had problems with the sheetrock and then problems with the paint. They came back to do all that stuff for free, but a lot of times they blame each other. Oh, it's not actually the sheetrock, it's the paint. Oh, it's not actually the paint, it's the sheetrock. And I had to deal with it. I had to
Yep.
meet 2 different people twice as many times.
Mm-hmm.
And that is real time I lost
Yes.
and real stress that is
Yeah.
not able to put on the balance sheet. Whereas with the other person, yeah, it would have been a little bit more money, but there's just no stress. There's zero stress. I go in and I see anything wrong. Paint, sheetrock, I don't care. I point, I say fix it. He fixes it because he did both.
Mm-hmm.
So there's levels of, what's a little bit more important. If I could go back in a time machine, would have paid the extra money, haggled him down $1,000, and the stress would have been removed. Just poof, gone, because I could just point at these 8 different things that I had arguments with and just be like, hey man, these 8 things are not good. I don't care if you want to talk to your painter, if you want to sand it down, if you want to rip the sheetrock out and do it again, fix it. When it's fixed, you get paid, job's over. But I, was a little bit more blinded by the dollar. Granted, we had a budget we had to stick to. It's not just like, we're building this stuff out of osmosis, but that's a real life example that I went through where saving the dollar caused so much stress, and I would not trade the stress for the dollar. And not enough people think about the hours and the stress, because that's harder to put on a balance sheet when you look at an overall project. Like when I look at the house, it costs this and we put this much into it. That's a very easy calculation. But if I went down the house and I was like, that one was stressful, that one was not stressful, how much more? Like, that's an impossible thing. So switching gears a little bit from stress and whatnot, what company do you work for?
I work for Botini Fuel in
Oh,
Wappingers.
I went to Poughkeepsie Day School with Summer and Race, and my brother went to school with Ricky. So we know
Oh,
the
really?
Botini, we know all three of the Botini kids
Yeah,
very
yeah.
well.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's a
That's
very
cool.
small world.
Hmm.
Um, I in my head, I thought they only had fuel trucks, and I didn't actually know, like, can you go to Botini and buy an air conditioner?
Oh, no, no, no. It's mainly just service, installation, propane, and cooling.
Okay.
So it's
So
just
if
like installing and the service side. You can't like buy like a I mean, you can buy it through us,
No,
but
that's what I
it's
mean. Like,
yeah, yeah.
if I actually only thought that they had just the one type of fuel in those fuel trucks, and they
No.
were going to fill, propane tanks at people's homes. But like, if you're doing a new construction, you can hire Botini Fuel to do the entire HVAC system.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
And there's a properties division too. So
Okay,
like they have their own construction side too. Like it's the largest Hudson Valley oil company in the Northeast. It's
wow.
crazy. Like it's I'm honored to be hired by them and for them to take a chance on me because like I said, I've only been here for couple years now and I went to school. I did my oil in 21. I did my AC in 22 and I just did the CTEP, the propane class in August. So I'm just trying to learn as much as I can and be an asset to the company as much as I can too.
Did they pay to put you through those certifications, or are you
No,
doing that on your own to move up
I
in their company?
the propane certification they put me through, but everything else I I was working at Amazon when I first had the idea of doing the HVAC thing. So I put the money down for oil and AC. But it was one of the greatest decisions of my life because I feel like that fueled my entry into the company for Botini.
So for people who think that it's an impossible transition, what does a class like that cost, and how long did it take to do the course? And is it
I went
online, or did you go to school?
I went to night school, so I was full time working, and then I was a part time student. It was Mondays and Wednesdays for 4 hours, so I mean it was tiring. AC is way harder than oil. Like just because you have to take 4 different tests. You have to take the core. You got to take the type 2, the type 3. The type 2 is the splits. Type 3 is the chillers. Type
Hmm.
1 is obviously like the window units. All in all, the whole class, oil and AC, that was about like $5,000. But in the time, I was a nurse. I was in a nursing home, managing a kitchen. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but like I was deciding during COVID that I needed to go back to school. Like I needed to get my hands dirty in order to make money. Like that's just how it was. You have to get your hands dirty if you want to make money nowadays. No ifs, ands, buts about it. It was either vet tech or HVAC. And I decided to save $15,000 because it was $20,000 to do vet tech. So I decided to do HVAC, and I've made that money back. And it's such a great opportunity. I wish I knew about this back when we were at Oakwood, dude, because I guarantee you I would have went to a more hands-on school. But granted, I went to college with Bruce. I don't know if you remember Bruce and Ben. Like I went to college with them, so I wouldn't trade that for the world. But at the same time, you can't live with regrets. But I do wish I just learned this and had a drive for it when I was younger.
I share the same thing. Like, yeah, big fancy school, fancy business degree. I swing a hammer now, but can't live with regrets because the same thing. Like, I didn't go to school with somebody from my high
And you're
school.
still you're still who
Actually,
you
that
are.
actually that's a lie. I ended up going to the same school with someone from my high school, but we
Oh,
weren't really friends in high school and we
oh.
weren't really friends in college. But but the friends that I made in college, I wouldn't trade. And like those friends led to me doing life moves that led to me doing things that led to me doing construction that led to me running my own business. So like if you go far enough back down the line, I can't say I wish I didn't go to college because they're all the like people I met and decisions I made were because of that. So if
Exactly.
I could just be like, oh, I should have left high school and gone to like a 6 week BOCES program in construction management and just like
Yeah.
jumped into the trade, like, yeah, okay. From a financial perspective, I would have saved college's tuition and I would have been earning money for more years rather than spending it. But you can't, like you said, you can't live a life of regret. There's a
Yeah.
whole other aspect beyond financial from, shout out to Ernie Smith. He's been like my best friend since I met him freshman year of college. We still talk all the time. I just went out to Encinitas to visit him. Like I that friendship doesn't exist if I don't go to college. And,
Yeah.
so you can't
It's
you
that
can't
journey, man. It's
yeah,
that
the journey
journey.
has to be you have to go on the journey.
You have to. You can't
Yeah.
just wait. You can't just want to wake up where you are. Like that journey, the people you met along the way, like it develops your character. It
Yeah, I mean, it grows
you
you up.
it decides you decide what and what you don't want from this life.
Yeah,
And that's the whole part of any journey. Like you critique, and chances are it may happen again differently, and now you know how to act in that type of scenario because you were familiar with it.
that's very well put and accurate. Um, Circling back, a couple more questions. So,
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
Botini, do they give you a van that like says
Yeah.
Botini? Does
Yeah, I
it?
have a full service work van that I take home. Like it's right now in my driveway right now. Like I said, I'm out of work right now just from me getting hurt. But
Would you
yeah,
like
they
hit
give
your head on a unit or something?
I hit my all right, so you know what a length is, right? Like a 20
Yeah.
foot 20-foot black iron pole was we are putting it up on the guy told me to rest it on a conduit. And I was like, I don't know if this is gonna like stay or not. And he's like, yeah, it'll stay. So I leave it. I'm on a ladder. So I come down the ladder. Next thing I know, boom. I literally get in my van, drive away, call my office. I'm like, I gotta go to the emergency room. I just got hit in the head. And
It's
then and now dude, this whole situation is nuts, man. Because I have to go through workers' comp, dude. It's ridiculous, man. It's so stressful. Like
the
it's
workers' comp aspect.
just having to go through this, go through that, this that. It's like who is gonna make me feel better, you know? And this whole time, it's like God forbid my arm didn't get chopped off, because how the hell am I gonna fill all this paperwork either way, you know? It's just checks and balances. Like I can't work for a week. I have to get an MRI. It's a nightmare, man. And like all I want to do is go back to what I love doing, which is
This is why I don't have employees, man. Yeah. I mean, literally, like when I file for a building permit, I have to file this piece of paper for workers' comp. And I am so happy that I get to check the box that says I have no employees
yeah,
and all my subs have their own insurance.
yeah,
If they get hurt, that is on them.
yeah,
And, knock on wood, nobody's gotten seriously hurt on any of my jobs or even jobs, any of my guys in the time I've known them. But, you know, I definitely don't ever want to be dealing with that kind of stuff. Like it
It's
sounds like a nightmare because it's basically like a never ending fight to
it's
prove the truth with a government agency who just assumes from the start you're a liar. And it's like,
and
wait a
that's what
minute, dude.
that's what I'm saying. It's not Botini.
No,
It's
I already
literally
know
no, no, no. I'm
it's the
just
government. Yeah.
it's you. I can tell how some jobs don't, because I had to call like 20 different doctors that would take workman's comp, and now I understand why they don't,
Mm,
because it's a nightmare. It's a literal nightmare, and at the same time, it's like I not only am I not working, I have to prove something that actually happened. It's
right.
ridiculous.
Right. Which is just insane. Like, but at the other end of the sword, on the other side of the coin, as they say, or whatever the saying is, there is a massive problem in this country specifically of people lying and getting a workman's comp
Yeah.
claim, a monthly stipend for doing nothing. And I know this to be true because shout out once again to my boy Ernie Smith. That's mostly his job. He spies on people faking it. He
Yeah.
works for a lawyer as a
Mhm.
private eye, and he has like 8 hidden cameras in his car, and he'll just go like park in your house or like across the street, and he'll get you, going like this when they said you couldn't lift over your head or
Exactly.
something. And then he has the video and he's like, look, liar, liar, let's go. And, he has a literal job because people are defrauding. So I get it a little bit, but like, you know, I know you, and you had somebody standing right there who saw you take a pipe to the head. Like it should have been pretty easy to be like, oh my God, let's get this dude taken care of right
And
now.
yeah,
Like,
and that's the one thing. Like I really hope the questions that they were asking my coworker helped my case, because I don't know, because I really don't know what is going on, because the past like Thursday and Friday I was in and out of doctors. So
oh, so you're still like in the thick of
I'm
even
still,
knowing if you're going to be
yeah,
covered.
I can't work until the
Wait,
end
so
of
like who paid for that doctor visit Thursday and Friday?
my insurance, the workers'
Okay.
comp.
The work.
I,
Okay.
yeah, I so tomorrow I have an EEG test where they're gonna make me look like Professor Xavier. They're gonna put those things on my head just to make sure everything's okay.
Make
And
sure you send
then
me that selfie. I'll use it for the profile pic on the podcast
yeah.
release.
To this week, Charles Xavier. um, and then Thursday is my MRI.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get back to work. I can't, and I'm just trying to stay positive, knowing that I'm not going to be making money this week. But that's life, you know. And like I'm
So
just,
so that does the workers comp doesn't include like some sort of
I have to wait.
minimum stipend that you would get
I have
paid.
I have to wait 7 days or something like that.
So in
So
7 days you'll get like a back pay if everything goes your way.
no, I have
No.
no. I think I will start getting paid after. I don't know.
Okay. It's
All I
just
know is
not
that
clear.
it's just not clear. But I know that for starting Friday or whatever, I'm not getting paid according to my manager.
Hmm.
So that's just
It's
how work. That's how
it's a little
workers comp.
strange.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't understand it enough to like say if something's right or wrong. Also, we
No,
live in
yeah,
different states, so the
yeah.
rules are probably different, one would assume. Um, so
It's such a big learning. It's just such a big learning thing for me, because like I've never been dealing with this before, and it's like I have to deal all of this by myself. All of
right.
like
So
calling
there's no
doctors.
like Botini isn't like kind of
No,
helping
the
you or
the
walking you through or something like that.
I had to I talked to the HR rep, and she helped me through everything. So Botini did
Okay.
help me get through it. Like I said, it's mainly the doctors and the insurance. Like Botini helped me find the doctor. Botini helped me, honestly, Botini helped me more than any other entity, but they can't get past the insurance, because like we were saying, the insurance doesn't necessarily believe that it happened.
Right.
So it's like it's just a big it's just a confusion of just, but at the same time, like I'm the hurt party, and like gonna fix. It's not so much fixing it. It's just who's gonna sign me off so I can go back to work. Like that's
Right.
really what it is.
Which
And,
we would all hope and assume happens after your MRI turns
yeah,
out to show nothing bad would be the
yeah,
ideal situation.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
and technically, I can't. I have a note that says I can't work until the MRI anyway. So it's like I kind of hope that this prolongs because then I'll start getting paid. But then again, if I get healed and sent back to work within a week, I didn't get paid for a week, so I just got taken out of work for a week. Now I'm out of a week of work, and now my bills or whatever. It's like what did I gain from all of this?
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Like
A
seriously,
vacation. Yeah.
I was able to finish the Michael Jordan documentary. That's about it.
Oh, the Last
The
Dance.
Last Dance. Yeah, I literally finished that before this podcast. I, the only positive I see right now is me being able to catch up on all the movies I haven't been watching. So that's about my 60-hour work week.
There are a lot of shows that you need to get on, my man. I just
Oh
finished
yeah,
Painkiller. That thing
yeah,
is nuts.
yeah. What is that? You want to give me a quick synopsis? A
Yeah,
painkiller?
it's a very easy synopsis. Sackler family, Purdue Pharma, Oxy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And it's basically
is it a doc?
it's as close to a documentary as you can get
I love those.
with scripts and actors. In fact,
Okay.
I was listening to Pete Berg, who, super famous action star director guy, all those Mark Wahlberg movies. He was on a podcast talking about it because it's his project,
Mhm.
and they made this show, and it was so close and so accurate that the Netflix lawyers were like, this can't be a documentary. You have to turn this into a show, and you have to put a disclaimer in front of every episode. So instead of, and then
Wow.
this is where Pete Berg truly should just like win whatever directors awards there are. Instead of a written, what is it like? This is based on true events, but some of the events and names and dates have been
Change.
dramatized or
Yeah.
whatever. Instead of putting that up in words, he literally starts every episode with a person saying it, going blah 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 based on true events, but it's been dramatized. What hasn't been dramatized is, and they show up a picture. My daughter died of oxy and wasn't a drug addict, but couldn't get off it after this back injury, blah blah blah. And they like break down crying, and then the episode starts, and it's like, whoa, like it just throws you into this entire different
Yeah.
mindset. And
Wow.
if well, we were basically the same age. We're too young to remember, 1994 and the oxy epidemic of this country. It
Yeah.
got, for lack of a better word, handled before we were old enough to really know what was going on.
Mhm.
But I remember, the 5 or 6 times where a doctor has prescribed me that for, I've had 2 foot surgeries, I've had wisdom teeth, whatever. And, my mother freaking out always, every time, like, please take as little as you need, get onto ibuprofen as quickly as you can, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what is your issue? Like, these
Yeah.
are, because I just had no comprehension, because my mom had real girlfriends, whatever, work friends with real kids who had real problems, who became like heroin addicts and
Yeah.
OD'd and died. And, it was just not in my brain. And then I watched, there's a Hulu show called Dope Sick. And that's basically the same type of show, but it's not where they have to put a disclaimer in the front. And it's just a well scripted show. Michael Keaton is the star of that one. He plays
Mhm.
one of the like Virginia small town doctors who was like one of the first, couple hundred doctors to start prescribing oxy. And so it was like that show on Hulu. And then I don't know, what are we, 2 years later or even less, where this show comes out on Netflix, which just even dives into it more. And like, I'm not going to pretend I know what's true, what's
Mhm.
not. But if you believe both of these shows and the fact that these people, the Sackler family, had to pay billions or whatever the hell it is, sure seems like they screwed up,
Yeah.
like big time. and really set this country back and created a bunch of heroin addicts. I mean, for lack of a better term, but it's only 6 episodes and is worth every minute. I highly recommend it. It was gripping. My girlfriend came in halfway and she was like, this is not something I want to watch, but couldn't look away. Just couldn't look away. Like it grabs you, and it's
that's honestly all I'm here for nowadays is just true stories, man. Because I mean, I do like my good action adventure movies, but it's just nothing beats like a good ass documentary. I'm sure you know
Oh,
what
I
I mean. Like,
love my
oh
garbage. Don't
God,
get me
dude.
wrong. I love
Yeah.
my garbage, but at the same time, when you can create something that's got some truth behind it, like I
Yeah.
just finished season 2 of Winning Time,
Oh
that
yeah.
Lakers dynasty show where it's
Which I
like
cannot
Magic and
believe.
Bird.
Which I cannot believe they're not renewing.
Okay,
Like
so here's the thing.
ridiculous.
I don't know, which gives me just this much faith. Did they cancel it because it sucks, or did they cancel it because of the writer's strike? And when the
I
strike's over, they might come back.
I think they canceled it because they don't know what the hell they're doing over at HBO. Like
That's a bold statement.
I think they were canceling it, but they just didn't want to tell people because you know how they canceled like everything, like they canceled like Cartoon Network and everything.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure that they canceled. That was probably one of the first things that they wanted to cancel, but there was so much. There was going to be so much backlash that they were going to wait for season 2 to be over, and then who knows? I don't. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was bad.
I don't think it was bad. I also think they ended it right as it was getting good. Like everybody really wanted to see 84 through 90, where it was like, okay, every year it was one, the other, or them. Let's see it. And you know, I think there was a third season in there. I also think that when you look at some of the best shows, they complete a 3-season story arc, similar to the way, what's the best example recently? Ted Lasso is probably the best recent example of like, even The Amazing Success. They were all like, no. We had a 3-season story arc planned. We're not doing this. If you want to do a spinoff or whatever, that's fine. But like, we're not going to do another 3-season and do 6 seasons. We're not going to do a crappy 4th season. Like we had a plan. And you got to have a little respect for those people who run shows that are wildly successful and they stop in the middle of their success.
I know.
Like Schitt's Creek's another great one.
Yeah.
Where like they could have just kept going. Their fans, I'm one of them, were so loyal.
I forgot about that show, man.
And they just stopped. They were like, no, we're good. 6 seasons was great. And we all want to go on to bigger and better things. And, you know, we're happy we did it. And,
I wasn't really into like, God forgive me. I really wasn't into Breaking Bad that much. I really wasn't into Breaking Bad. I know. But
the podcast ended right there.
I feel like that ended on I feel like they could have brought that into what it was like 6 seasons, right? How many seasons was Breaking Bad?
It was either 6 or 7. I can't remember.
They could have prolonged that. I'm hearing everybody like they ended that on a really high note too.
I think it ended on a high note. Yes. I think the statement they could have prolonged it is true. But in my opinion, which is just an opinion, I think they did it perfect. And if the prolonging that you're looking for would have been subpar.
Yeah, they would have it would have died. Like they want to shows should go out on their own merit versus them getting canceled or like, oh my God, when are they gonna kill this show? But like six seasons is usually like where it's at. Like,
and then they did also continue it for the record. So like Better Call Saul was incredible. And the El Camino movie, which kind of finishes off Jesse Pinkman's story, also incredible. So, you know, I don't share the same opinion that I guess I'm just such a fanboy, but I got into it late, so I can't even really say shit.
College.
Like I was
college is when I got into it.
I wasn't watching it in college. I was watching it, you know, I want to say they were making season 5, and I was
Mhm.
binging 1 through 4, and then I caught up, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've got to wait! I can't do
Yeah.
this. I'm a millennial. I need it right now. Give me hundreds episodes to binge." I just
Yeah.
binged Justified, and I like was in love with the fact that it was over. I had nothing stopping me. I was binging that shit like crazy, and it
Yeah.
was so good. I couldn't
Mhm.
believe I was a sleeper on that show. But
Another show that I freaking love was Sons of Anarchy. You ever
oh
watch
yeah.
that show?
That's why
Dude.
I wasn't
Oh,
watching Justified. I was watching Sons as it came out, and I just couldn't give FX
yo,
another show.
I have not seen the you know what happens, right? Have
Yeah.
you
Oh
seen,
yeah.
dude,
I've seen the whole show. Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't seen the last season and someone ruined it for me. I literally wanted to punch them in the freaking face.
Dude,
In
that's
case
not cool.
in case nobody has seen it, we won't
No,
have to
we're
talk
not gonna
about it.
do that. No, no, no. We're not
But
gonna spoil shows.
oh man, we were like, this is when I used to smoke cigarettes. So we were like, it was like a smoke break, and like she's talking about it, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't believe that happened." I'm like,
What?
"Yeah, neither can I."
You just
Oh
ruined
man,
5.5 seasons of my
I
life.
I pretty much, and I love that. I was watching that every Wednesday at 10. Gemma,
Yeah.
freaking
Dude, when I found out that Gemma was the one-eyed girl from Futurama, I about lost it.
oh really?
I couldn't. I was like, "Oh my god, that is the voice!" Like, I couldn't.
Yeah.
It
And
was
then
like,
obviously Married with Children too.
yes, yes, of
The
course, yeah,
mom.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It like, yeah, her voice is just so iconic just because of Leela and stuff like that.
yeah. Leila, I mean, it's and I haven't seen the new season of Futurama, but I got to get on it.
Yeah.
Well, I hear it's very good.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so little off track, but that's okay. It's our podcast. We can talk about whatever we want, and we're both movie heads.
Hell yeah.
So circling slightly back to the HVAC world,
Yeah.
primarily, are you doing more of the service call, or are
Yeah.
you helping with the new construction stuff?
I am a service tech. I am
Okay,
a
okay.
service tech. Yep.
So is that kind of like, somebody just calls Botini direct, and then a dispatcher
So
is like, "Hey, Wilton, you need to be here
yeah,
at this address tomorrow at 10 or whatever."
yeah, I wish it was like that. I'll pretty much run it like so. My typical day is I wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I get like 2 cups of coffee in me, no less. I watch like couple.
Sponsored by Starbucks.
I watch like ESPN in the morning, stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. But like I get my first call around like 7:30. And depending on how much garbage I have in my van from the night before, I'll go to the shop just to go to the dumpster and throw all that stuff out. And just to get like a quick powwow from like the girls in the office and all my other coworkers, stuff like that, just to get like the morning going. There's a great breakfast place that's down the road from the shop. So it's a good place to just to get your juices going for the morning. But in terms of that, like I have a tablet. They'll send me address, name, reason for being there, as well as a service history so I can have somewhat of a game plan as to what could be the problem. Just not to blame the last guy that was there, but just to know what the last guy did that was there.
Are you
So I
strictly doing unit or systems that you have previously installed? By you, I mean Botini, or will you take a call from anybody?
will take a call from anybody.
Okay.
And Botini is getting bigger and bigger to the point where we do service like pretty much a huge part of New York. I don't know if we dabble into any other states, but I'm because my majority is in New York, but I know that we have a commercial side, but I just don't know if that
Okay.
dabbles outside. But um,
Is there
but
a license for HVAC work in New York?
there's your for oil, no, but for air conditioning, yeah. You need to be EPA certified, which is what that whole class was that I took. Like it got you ready for the EPA. You have to score
Oh,
like
you
80 or
you need that, not the company.
no. I have my individual. I am technically I am a certified HVAC universal technician. So I can work on,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I have my own licenses and certificates under my own belt. I can work on wall units, I can work on splits, I can work on chillers, I can work on oil furnaces, boilers. I can work on hot water heaters, either on demand or that are tied into the boiler.
This is fascinating to me because, like, first of all, HVAC doesn't touch tankless hot water heaters down here. That's plumbing. All right.
Yeah,
Second of all, no techs have anything. They work for a company that has the license. They don't have dick. The guys that
right.
come out here, they're talented. I'm not blowing
Of
smoke, but
course,
that's
of
just not
course.
the way it works down here. Like Mainer has the license,
Yeah.
Mainer HVAC. And
Yep.
then
You
who
work
shows up could be anybody.
exactly.
It could be me. If I was like, hey, I'm bored. You want to hire me for a week? Like, show me how to do a capacitor. Like, technically, it could be me. I could know nothing. Now,
Yeah.
granted, like you get the same warranty from Mainer,
Hmm.
but in New York, there's no contractor's license. I had Tony Pagano on here. He's like, been a union brick masoner since he was 14. Now he builds like skyscrapers in New York City. There's no GC license. There just isn't. I had to take a test. I had to do hours, continuing ed, all this crap. It doesn't exist in the state of New York. You can
Hmm.
just start building a house.
Yeah. It's
Insane.
and that's why people leave. And I understand that. It's Connecticut is so strict that if you go to Connecticut and get your license in HVAC and you try to work anywhere, they're gonna be like, okay, you're good. That's how
Oh, because
strict
it's that hard to get the
it's so
license.
hard to get a Connecticut license that if you find out that you have a Connecticut license, they're gonna be so happy because you are certified.
Right.
Because it's so hard to get a Connecticut. It's not hard, it's just more difficult. You need
Yeah,
like
the GC license here works in, I want to say, like 6 or 7 other states. I don't
Mhm.
know if they're easier or harder, but they all talk and they're like, okay, you're good. Like, I guess we're using the same test, so they could work here if they want. And I only
Exactly.
looked into that because my sister lives in Georgia and my license works in Georgia. And I was like, I can pull permits by law. We just have to do some subcontractor hunting because my electrician's not going to drive 6 hours. But
Mhm.
I could pull her permit if she wanted to reno a house, which we have had those discussions. But it just blew my mind. Like, I don't even personally look back on it and think it was a lot. It was a lot in the moment
Mhm.
because I failed twice. I'm not as book smart as you or some other people. Um, Oakwood teachers are like, hell yeah, you're not book smart. You were an art
Well,
kid. I know.
it was probably a difficult test. I guarantee that.
Oh, it does have an 80% first time failure rate, but in my head, I'm better than that. And
I
I
hear
should have
you.
passed,
I hear you. I hear you.
And at the time, it literally was like, I'm about to get this job. If I pass this test,
Yep.
didn't pass the test, no more job.
I
Like,
hear you. I
can't
hear you.
take that, can't take on that client. So now I look back and I'm like, it should have been way harder. Like, how was it that easy? Like,
Mhm.
but everything's relative. But it's all insane when I think about how New York just has no license at all. Like, you just need insurance. Crazy to me. So you could bounce from company to company to company if
Yep.
you so chose, or even move states. Because what
Just
does your license? Is it like, were you licensed
it's
by New York State or by
yeah,
some country entity?
New York State, but my EPA is good for the whole world.
Okay, so you could hypothetically move down here and you could get a job being a tech for Mainer in
Yep.
seconds.
Yep.
Yeah,
Depending
which I
on
need you, so come on down.
let me know.
David Clark wants you to work for him so bad. We need workers down here, well, everywhere, but
and
we
it's
could use you.
and it's crazy because I hear that all the time. And one of the things that I pride myself on is not only being skillful, but being reliable. And no matter what part of team I am on, like whatever jersey I have on, like I am on that team. And like whenever I'm in somebody's home, I tell them, you are in good hands. You are in good hands. It's the confidence that is building every single day. And that is what I owe to the HVAC field because I feel myself getting taller every single day.
And do you think that that's um solely in the HVAC world, or are you like getting taller in other facets of your life unrelated?
I mean, my whole life I've always been a talker. I've never been able to not saying like fighting. I've never been able to use my hands in terms of like trying to fix a problem. It's always been talking and trying to fix a problem. There's nothing more fulfilling than talking and using your hands at the same time to just to fix a problem. And like I said before, that journey, like the people that you meet along the way, the classes that you take, all those all those bowl classes that you would take, just the electives and stuff like that, that builds character. And it decides what you want and what you don't want out of your life. And I just think that me moving into my home, my grandmother unfortunately passing, 2023 being absolutely crazy, switching from job, switching career, I just think I've been on a confidence boost, and I'm just trying to mesh all the avenues into just one game plan. And I feel like I've been doing good for the past 6 months or so, but I'm really just trying to go through the rest of 2023 into 2024 in finally something that I can call my own in terms of my career, and at the same time being nice and warm in a beautiful house.
I think that's, you know, part, if not the majority of the reason I really wanted to talk to you was because it seems it seemed like, excuse me, it seemed like from the outside perspective, and now getting the story to be 100% exactly what happened, that you just needed a life change and realized that this is not out of my reach. It seemed like it was out of reach because of incorrect perception. And you said, screw that. It not only is the perception wrong, it's right there. And I'm going to reach out and grab it. And I think there are so many people, in my opinion, a lot younger than us, who are lost and don't know what they want to do. They might look at a tradesman like you and I and go, they don't make any money. They're just always working and blah, blah. It's not true. Like, there's an incredible living to be made. Plumbers make so much money. HVAC guys make so much money. I do great as a general contractor. And it is we talked about it. We kind of touched on it for half a second when you talked about how, like, it wasn't in black and white that you go from Oakwood to college, but it was definitely the push. Like, you were in this fancy, overpriced private prep school to get you into a good school. We're going to do ACT prep. We're going to do SAT prep. We're going to take practice tests, blah, 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 this, that, and the third, get into college. But there was nobody. And also, they threw me out, and I'm still not trying to throw smoke on Oakwood. But the facts are, there was nobody there going, hey, you know who's coming in to talk to the class today is a union plumber and
Yes.
a 25-year in the trade woodworker and the GC who built all of the school buildings at
Exactly.
Oakwood. Like, how come that dude didn't walk in and go, you know what? If you guys are really struggling in school and you don't think college is for you, these are some real numbers that you can make. You can go take a 6-week trade class and become a plumber overnight. Do you remember Wes?
Yeah.
His dad retired from the police force and opened up a plumbing company. And Wes worked for his dad after school every day and on the weekends. And he was the only person I knew in high school who drove a brand new Toyota 4Runner. And he owned it outright by himself from getting a real paycheck at a real plumbing job. And yes, that was for his father, but he was the first one to be like, yeah, I work for my dad, but I still like had to go do all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And he would make, 30% of my money because he'd bill clients at his rate and pay me a third of it, or 2/3 of it, and get a third. And like, everybody won. And I was like, yeah, it looks like everybody's won. You're 17. You have a 4Runner. Like, this is amazing. And it just like, the perception, and I think it's still wrong today, that if you don't go to college, you are useless and dumb. And it's just a lie. It's just not true.
How many TV shows was the trope of like either the plumbers being made fun of or like we have to go to college, guys, we have to go. Like that was every single TV show that was fed to us for a decade.
Yeah.
And it's like
And then Dirty Jobs comes out and Mike Rowe is kind of like single-handedly being like, wait a minute, hold on. This dude makes $250,000 a year picking up mud in Louisiana for MLB baseballs.
exactly.
What? Like,
And
don't.
that's what, yeah, that's funny that you brought that show up because that show literally changed the generation in terms of seeing that side of America of those dirty jobs, but they're still providing for their families. They have smiles
And
on their
well,
faces.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's also like, in my opinion, and I am not an expert, let's clarify that, but like we took all of that out of the curriculum. There's no mechanic class, there's no shop class, there's no home ec, there's no more working with your hands. Even art is shrinking, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And then also at the same time, told a bunch of uh teenage boys that it's your fault if you can't sit still for an 8-hour school day, and here's some ADD medication. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, like that's hugely backwards. Like, wait a minute. Nobody can sit still for 8 hours. That's not what humans were meant to do. Like, period. Conversation over. And like, I don't understand my car and I wish I knew more about my car. Like, I'm sitting here like, I can check the oil. I wouldn't trust myself to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, a lack of a class in school.
It's as if they were trying to start something with the new millennia in terms of trying to start a new generation of scholars, of trying to make scholars, like forcing it because you like look at like I have an older brother that grew up in the 80s. Like they didn't deal with what we had to deal with. I mean, at the same time, like there's the whole blah blah blah, but I really feel like they were trying to push an agenda, at least with our generation, because now this generation that's growing up, they're so listened to. And it's not like, oh man, why didn't nobody listen to me? But you have to sit there and almost think like we weren't listened to. They were trying to mold us and force us with like all these different types of new age stuff, especially because of the internet that just arose like overnight. But this generation is so like coddled that I just feel like not only it's good and bad to the point where they're listened to, but they may be too much listened to the point where it's like I just feel like our generation got the short end of the stick in terms of, because remember, like we were the last generation to get beat because that's when it came out like you shouldn't beat your kids anymore. So I feel like they were trying this whole new stuff that just didn't work. And now
I remember having my mouth washed out with soap as a kid.
yeah,
Did you have that?
yeah. And
Yeah.
I remember getting hit. Remember the pointers in school? Like those pointers that they would like at the chalkboard or whatever that they would like point at or
Nah,
whatever.
man. I don't that you're I don't that
You
must
don't
have been a
remember?
Highland public school
Yeah,
thing
it
that
was
I
Highland. Yeah.
missed.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was Highland. They had a pointer thing. I remember getting chalk thrown at me. Like we were just different, man. Like we were in an age that was just so unique that
I definitely did not experience that, for the record. Like I gotta say though, like almost immediately my
did
brother
you
and I
always go to private
became.
school?
I did. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Hold it against me. It's okay.
No. That's fine. I didn't. Because I know that some kids did. Because I know some kids were first grade was in private school was ninth grade. Like for example, like Naja, like she's never been in private school, but there
Yeah.
were some kids at Oakwood that went to the middle school and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I went to PDS K through 8, and then I
Okay.
switched to Oakwood for high school. And then when I left Oakwood in 11th grade, I went to a new school after the Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
So I did basically like the second half of junior year at a different school and then senior year at that same school.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
And 11th grade was hard because I had to basically do their entire 11th grade curriculum in half the year.
6 months.
Yeah, they were like,
Less.
yeah, they were like, here's the choice. Do the whole curriculum or go to summer school. And I was like, we're going twice as fast. I'm not doing summer school. Let's go. Let's
Let's
go.
go.
Flip the
Wasting
page,
time.
biology, man. Let's
Wasting
go.
time right now.
Yeah. I'm good on the math. Let's go. Jump to the stuff I don't know. That's the only thing I got down. Um, and yeah, but I did it. I didn't go to summer school, so I'll take that. The only summer school I went to was in college, and I failed the class I took, so it was a huge waste of time. Yeah. I tried to like get ahead and be like, I'm going to take the hardest class I can because it'll be the only thing that I'll have to pay attention to, and just huge mistake. I got like a 40 on the test. I was like, this is not working. I am not a regurgitate person. I need a hands-on type of situation.
Yeah.
Science is not my jam. I don't understand asteroids and different rock types. Just this is not me. If you want me to mix cement and tell you when it's ready to build on top of, I got you. But just not me. Yeah.
Was it an online class?
No. It was
Okay.
So I went to Hartwick College, and the SUNY Oneonta was across the street. Okay. So I went to SUNY Oneonta to actually take a class. It was some science class. It was probably geology, something along those lines. And it was just for me, it was terrible. It's just a shit show. I could not do it. I am not a multiple choice test person. I've went to SAT optional schools for college because I did so bad on that test that
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did too. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
No, dude, I think I did worse the second time.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah. I applied to 5 colleges, and 4 out of 5 were SAT optional, and I got into the 4 out of 5. The 5th one was like, "You're an idiot. We cannot have you here." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna leave."
I really think the only reason I got into college was because they were just accepting a bunch of people, and they needed like money because my college went from a college to a university. Like,
oh, okay.
So I think that they were accepting a bunch of people because they wanted the money, which is fine by me because yay, I have a college degree and sounds good to me. But I did I think I got 200 points worse on the second time I took the SAT. And I remember one time,
remember they changed the scores, so it was out of like
24 or whatever.
24, yeah. And I still got a score that was low if it was out of 16.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is not gonna work for me.
But can we just go back to when it was out of 1600 and then I would be good?
Exactly. Yeah. Even then, I would still not have been good. Yeah.
Like a 400.
Yeah, and then they added like I think the section that was added was like a writing section, and I have to type. So I'm sure the person reading my essay was like, I can't even read this shit.
Yeah,
like this is like chicken scratch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm such a typing kind of person. So what are the what's the career path, at least now, as you see it? Like, is your plan to just kind of, slowly or not so slowly bump up either the ranks or the pay scale or both, or, Wilton HVAC becomes a company in 20 years? Like, what's the goals now?
I would love to be able to start my own company. That's just everybody's goal oriented. Whenever they start any type of craft that's theirs, they want to make their own brand. That's obvious. But just to be like more realistic, my goal right now is just to be an all around awesome asset for the company. Like I want to stand out, but not to the point of where it's being like I don't want to be the big guy on the block without being able to fix things. Like I want to hone in on my craft. I want to learn as much as I can with the people that are willing to teach me. I would love to be in the office just because of my effective communication skills. I really think that people need people. I'm willing to say this because I don't care. I really think people need people like me and like you who are great leaders, they know how to communicate. They know what the other person wants to hear before they even know what they want to hear. But at the same time, you have to be able to translate it into a group of words that sounds not only respectable, but at the same time brings the message across of what and how things can get done. There's a lot of people, like I noticed that a lot of people that are in these manager roles, like they just, I don't know how they get to those roles. Like it's as if they don't have, it's as if people with no communication skills get to where they need to be in terms of managing roles, but the people with the good communication skills never get to that role. The reason why I'm saying that is that, like, you can't be buddy buddy with your employees. And I think that's the difference between like a manager that's stern and then a manager that you're going to be able to walk all over. Like, you have to be able to draw that line between friends and colleagues. And some people are able to do that and some people aren't. And like, I've had the opportunity to manage a kitchen before, and it's, you have to be able to draw that fine line and not to be friends with the people that are your colleagues. It's really not that, it's not that difficult. But I really want to be higher on the totem pole. I would love to be in the office just because of what I can bring to the company, as well as just my overall confidence. And I see myself in a leading role, and I have to get there on other people's merits. So they have to see the leading role in me as well. So I have to work on just portraying an overall image of not only confidence, but a professionalism, and just being that guy that you can rely on.
Yeah, you want to be my David Clark. He is like, he drives around in a dope company truck and he's the sales guy. He shows up to be like, okay, let's measure, let's see what you have, what you need. But then at the same time, he'll be there to watch the techs. And if the techs need if there's two techs and they need a third hand, he could do all of the work. So he can jump in that crawl space and run that wire just as good as the other guy, because he
Exactly.
literally started at the bottom and now he's here. And he was so both good at being talented at the HVAC job, but also had that level of confidence that you're talking about, that when he changed companies, we went with him. Like, it was so easy to work with him that he changed from crap, I can't even remember, some other reputable HVAC company in the Carolinas, and he changed to, he's with Mainer now. And I remember calling him and somebody else picked up because it was a company phone.
Yeah.
And I had to find him on Facebook and be like,
Mhm.
hey, did you move? He was like, actually, I didn't move. I just changed companies, blah, blah, blah. Here's my new number. I was like, cool. We want to go with you. We don't, you're the man. Like, you've been perfect every time with all of our jobs. And I give his number to everybody, anybody who needs HVAC. So I'm like, just call David. Just call David. He's not even the tech, but just call him. He'll set you up with the tech. He'll give you to the office girls who will make your account and all this stuff. And like, it just
That's,
his ease of life for us is 100%.
and I feel like that is where my communications, my public relations background, because I've always enjoyed making people happy. I've always enjoyed being the middle person and making both ends happy. I thrive in that because I don't let two sides fight. Like, I don't, I disallow that. And like, I try to see the good in everybody, even if they're screaming, blah 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 blah. Like, companies need people like me because I'm able to be level-headed and to see the good in everybody. Like, as soon as I see anybody, like, benefit of the doubt, you have to see the good in them. Until they give you a reason to not see the good in them, you have to assume that everybody has a good heart. You have to, because if you don't, you're setting yourself up for failure.
And then you're also in a cool field where in an hour and a half, you could be the savior. You get to show up at somebody's house. They're having a bad day. You can be like, here's a bill for $200. Took me an hour and a half. Your AC works.
Exactly.
bam. And like you literally could turn a frown upside down. And, you know, unlike me, who might show up and they're like, you know, okay, we want to do this, we want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. But in order to do all that, we're going to need to do these 5 things. And because they don't know anything about construction, that really upsets them. And I don't get the job. And I get to leave that property and they feel worse. But I feel good because I gave them like true and honest information.
Exactly.
You know, I have a client, Glenn, he's been on my podcast. We've kind of become buddies. But the first 3 times that I came out to his property, I got 0 money. And they had me look at a bathroom 3 times, the same bathroom. And I was like, I understand what you're trying to ask me to do, and it can't be done at the price you think it can be done. I was like, you can't just rip out a tub and slide in a new tub without ripping the tile down. It doesn't work. And the plumbing won't line up and whatever else was wrong. And, you know, I have been legitimately thanked by both the husband and wife on more than one occasion. I'm like, no, I didn't get that job. No, they don't even live in that house, but they had somebody like me come out and give them the true facts about what it's going to actually take, not just what you want to hear to get you to give me a deposit. And then you're screwed at the end when you realize what you thought was $1,000 was $4,500. I'm like, look, this is a minimum of X. These are the 10 things we have to do in order. It is not as easy as that TikTok video you saw. There's a reason it's a TikTok video and not a 45-minute YouTube.
Yeah, right.
You know, like
it's a reason it's a 15-second TikTok video.
Exactly. You know, this like tiny 100-pound fitness model in spandex and huge tits is like, we swapped this tub in 1 hour and it cost $800. It's like, no, you didn't. That's a lie. Like, no, you did not. There's no way. The tub shows them like dollars alone.
It shows them like push it across the floor like they did all that.
Right. They get a shot of the tub just inching, but really it was like them pulling it out of the box in reverse. And it's like, you know,
no sweat. No sweat.
Oh, yeah. No sweat, no dirt, no gloves, no tools. Like, yeah. And it's like, look,
oh man,
good for that person. You know, they want views, they got the views. I don't fully understand how the views translate to money, which is why my social media is on the lower scale of life. But I just know that particular example is a huge problem in my industry because everybody's on social media and a lot, unfortunately, are on TikTok. I refuse to get the app, and they get an unrealistic expectation about how long things will take and how much things will cost.
Well, I feel like they forget the whole consultation part. I feel like they're mostly caring about the quote. They're forgetting that you're about to come in there and consult with them. Like they forget that. They think that you're walking in there and they're telling you what you're doing and you're going to do it. Like they're forgetting that it's going to turn into somewhat of an argument. Like can you imagine if it wrote like, oh, call us now for your like free argument? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause it's going to turn into that because they have an idea. You are the professional, you know what can and cannot be done literally based on the laws of physics. And they don't want to hear it because they have a home and they paid for it and you need to do it before Christmas because my aunt is coming and she likes.
Oh, I love we have family coming at this date. What do you think? And I'm like, every day you think about it, we lose the chance of getting to that deadline. I had this one dude, he had me price it. It's still right here. Yeah. Here it is. Attic renovation. I priced 2 months ago. Wow. 2 months ago. And like I threw it out and had to pull it back out of the trash because he called me and he was like, hey man, we're working on the loan. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, cool. Sure. And you know, when we first met, he was like, yeah, we really want to get it done for Thanksgiving. And that was like 2.5 months ago. And I was like, no problem. 2.5 months later, there's no freaking way we're getting that done for Thanksgiving, dude. Like you wasted 2.5 months. It would have been done. Now there's no way. Think about Christmas, man. Maybe you know, and it's, you know, he should be happy I'm even honoring the numbers, because a lot of companies you get 30 days and then the numbers are no longer valid. Materials could change.
Yeah.
I could have taken a bigger, better job. As my dad says, the cat ate the
Oh yeah.
pencil.
Your
Who
time is the
knows?
most valuable thing, I bet, man. Especially around
That's
the
why I
holidays.
charge for it. Like you get told go here and it's $175 service fee for you to get out of the truck. I have to have a free phone call with somebody, and then I have to tell them, if you want me to come to your house and take real measurements and then in a week give you an accurate number, that's $100.
Mm-hmm.
And that $100 will come off at the end when you hire me,
Yeah.
and therefore it's a free estimate. But if you just want to waste my time, because I got to call 7 subcontractors and a material supplier to get you a real number, and that's real time that it takes me. So yeah, $100 is cheap, actually.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do the job, you have an accurate price to take to a competitor, to put in your back pocket, to add to your bank of knowledge. And there you go. But if you want somebody to just jump in there and be like, it's X amount of money, I know for a fact that the person who just can walk in and go, it's X amount of money, is just doing things like measuring square footage and plugging that number into a formula. And they're not accounting for if you buy cheaper, expensive tile, if you buy cheaper, expensive countertops, if you buy cheaper, expensive flooring, and the list goes on. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what separates me, from some like big box home builder, who's just like, houses are $212 a square foot and finishes to be determined later. Finishes to be determined later. The whole project is finishes. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas me, it's like, if you want me to give you a real number, what tile are you going to use? Because my tile guy needs to know it's more money to install a mosaic. We're getting down to the details. What
Yeah.
type of flooring? I have 6 different flooring installers depending on the flooring. I don't have one guy who just puts down my floors. The tile floor guy does not put down hardwood floors. Separate people, separate tools, separate trucks, separate world, separate insurance,
Mm-hmm.
separate supplier. So that's why I exist. But it for a long time I did not charge that $100, and I got pissed at customers, but really I was just pissed at myself because I was not valuing my own time
Yep.
appropriately.
Yep.
And now it's like, if you have a problem giving me $100 to come out, I don't think you're a real customer, or you're not real enough. And I have people also who will call me and they want to do something that will require plans for me to even price it. And I will tell them, like, don't give me the $100 to come out. It's useless. Here's Barbara's phone number. I don't mark up her service. Hire her to draw it. And when you have a real plan that is good enough to get permits, give me the $100 with the plan and I'll price it for you, because there's just no point. And so, like, I kind of am moving into this thing where it's like, you get a free phone consultation, but if you want me to come out, it's $100, and that's cheap.
Yeah.
And it's all about just like, the average homeowner, especially a first-time home buyer, has never put an extension on a home because this is their first home. So they have no idea how it should go. And
Yeah.
$100 might be a scary, not number, because we're talking about home extensions, but just like, oh, are we wasting this $100 right now? Like, I don't really know. And so
But
that's
that
why
should
it's a
get you
quick
over
phone
that
call.
hump. That should get you over that hump to be like, no, we're gonna use that 100 because we're serious.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like
It's
that
like
gets you over that.
it's like an application fee if you want to rent one of my houses. I
Exactly.
know you're serious if you could drop the $75 application fee to Weston Woodall, who does my rentals. But if you're not serious and you don't want to drop that $75 fee, that's our first weeding out. Like,
Exactly.
okay, cool. Take those 75 people who don't want to pay for it, focus on the 20 people who do. They're clearly more real.
Exactly.
So
And it's like, my girlfriend has a photography business, and like she has to deal with that all the time, especially like, I guess, like yearly, just to the consultations, and if people don't show up for the photography shoots and stuff like that. It's you're valuing your own time. You have to, you are your own business, and you have to, it's a confidence thing. Like these
Yeah.
like you are providing a service, and you need to, people need to respect that. And if they don't, then there are going to be people that will
Yeah,
respect your time.
it's like a doctor or my tattoo artist has a cancellation fee, you know, because you need a deposit to get on her list. So
Yep.
she's just going to keep the deposit. And like, you know, I think it should be worse of a penalty if you're going to waste her time. Like
Yeah.
she had to get there, she had to set up. It's like she's got inks laid out based on what we're doing and saran wrap over everything and this
And
massage
she,
table and like
and either
so
way, whether she gets that deposit or not, she lost money because she could have gave that spot to somebody who actually showed up.
100%. Yeah. And that's where it became for me because, like, I'm a one man band with every subcontractor under the belt, but it all starts with me. So if I go to you for free, I didn't go to them for free. So I got to go to the person who's serious enough to at least give me that $100
Mhm.
and know that, you know, if you're serious about doing it, $100, it's going to be free if you hire me. It's just not going to, you know, let's get the ball rolling. It's
They
basically a
have
deposit.
they do phone consultations at my job too. I'm just wondering, so if they go along with if they tell you that they want you to do it, like how do you still do it over the phone, or do you charge a like that $100 fee?
So give me in what example?
Like so say you're doing, say I call you for a consultation because I know it's free, and I tell you that I want you to do it. Um so technically you still have to go out to their house and do everything. Like, do you still charge that 100 or no? Just because you have
So
never been to that house, you know what I'm saying? Because
right.
sometimes they'll do a job over the phone, and they have never been there, and
So
then
so
installers have
let's use a real life example. So if you call me for a deck, okay, a little bit simpler than a home extension, right? Let's say you're calling me for a deck, and in this example, you have a sketch, and it's a type of deck that doesn't need a building permit. Let's just in this fake example, right? If you get me on over the phone and it's clear what you want and you go, you know what? Yes, let's do it. I do not need to come out there and get $100. But if you say, let's do it, I'm going to say, cool, send me $2,500 because I'm ready to buy the materials and get my guys out there to do this.
makes sense.
So we can skip that 100 if you're about to give me a deposit. But
Yeah.
if you're like, okay, you won me over the phone. Now I'd like to meet you and look at the sketch and you tell me what's up and blah, blah. Cool. Send Venmo me $100. I'll put you on the calendar. I'll come out there. I'll look at your sketch. We can talk for an hour. And then I'll go, if you still want to do it, I would like a check now for the materials.
Hmm.
And, you know, and then there we go. So it really depends. You know, a home extension, unless it was a friend of mine who I'm just going to do, you know, I'm going to get everything as cheap as I can for you. And then I'll take my markup at the end. I don't even really want to do a job like that. You know, I really want to get a solid finished set of plans. I
Yeah.
want to send it to everybody who's going to work on it, get real finalized pricing. You know, if it's an extension, there's probably windows and doors and different trim styles. I want to make sure we're all agreed on that kind of stuff. I want to make
Yeah.
sure Talbert's Building Supply has everything in stock, or at least have a realistic time frame on order. You know, when the doors might come in could be 4 weeks. If you want crazy ones, could be 10 weeks. We have to accommodate that in our schedule. So it's job specific. For the most part, though, I am not really going from phone call to let's do it. There
Hmm.
should be something in between.
Yeah.
Um, but you could go from phone call to we're doing it. Here's $1,000 deposit. And then, yes, I'll come meet with you for free. You gave me $1,000 deposit. You want to do the job. Like, you know, maybe let's just take a look at how your house is built real quick so that I know if we're bolting into a double something or we need to add some more, you know, beef. Like, you know, my numbers at the end of the day are always an estimate in the extending on your house world. I just did a carport. I went over budget by $600. That's $600 all materials. And it's simply till I ripped off the soffit of her section that we were attaching to. There was no way to know what it looked like. There's just no way. I'm not a dick. There's just no way. I looked at it and went, let's assume that it's framed 16-inch on center. It was not. So I needed 4 extra 20-foot 2x4s and an extra 18-foot 1x12 PVC and 3 extra joist hangers and 2 extra corner brackets and just like 3 extra bags of cement. Like there was just no way to know.
Yeah.
But I did the best possible accurate estimation I could. And then when I emailed her the final bill, I said, hey, we're, $575 over for an even 10K on this project. And the reason is this many extra joists, this extra equipment, this extra bracket, these extra nails, this extra cement, and the roof got flatter. So we had to use a waterproof membrane that cost this much money. And like none of my labor guys needed more money. I didn't make more on the project. Talbert's just sold $575 more worth of shit. But, that's an easy one for the client to take, a $9,220 project became a $10,000 project and it was flawless. This is, and here's the reason why. That's a little different than 10 grand became 15 grand. And it's just because I'm greedy, shoot that dude in the foot. That's the guy that gives me a bad name.
Yeah.
Or a bad rep, I should say. So we circle back to just communication and how well, I made it super clear. I was like, look, this is the best guess that I've got. Here's the sketch we've agreed upon. Here's the material list. My roofer needs this. My painter needs this. My framer needs this. I make money. Here's my 25% markup for just doing the job and blah, 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 blah. And, I cannot control the person you hired 15 years before you met me who framed your screened in porch.
Yeah.
And didn't do it 16 on center. I can't control that. There's no way. And until I rip it down, until you say yes and I demo the soffit to look, just no way to know. But again, that's an easy one for a customer to swallow. For the most part, I really like to come in under budget. I like to quote you 12 and come in at 11.5. Makes everybody feel better.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, do you try to shoot for a high number and then obviously it comes out lower, or do you just flat out tell them how much it is? Like
I try to just be flat out.
Okay.
I try to. Yeah. There are everything's very circumstantial because I don't do one project that's anywhere similar to another project because of where I am in the world of being a contractor. I'm not like the dude you call when you want to build townhomes and we just keep building townhomes. I'm always getting a unique call. So for the most part, I simply just attempt to price it out to the T, add what I'm going to make and give them a number. And then if it got cheaper, I can keep that difference or I can pass the discount on to them and they feel better. But there are definitely circumstances where it's like, okay, I think this is going to be 13K. Let's do 15K because if I need to give somebody an extra $200, I'd rather just have that built in. And then I don't have to say it was 15K, 200. You know what I mean? So it depends on the job. Out here, it depends on the location. The money in certain cities is very different than others, even though it's only a 20-minute drive from certain places. And then there's also just like the complexity of the job, So I might pad another job different than another job based on how complicated I foresee it getting. If we're doing a huge demolition project or a huge addition project that involves ripping out a whole wall on the side of your house, and it's a really old house, I need to have enough of a buffer and a pad or just simply tell the client, this is best case scenario. When we open up your wall, if half of it's rotted, there's going to be a change order. That's not on me. So it's definitely circumstantial. Like I'm about to do a window replacement job starting tomorrow, and there is a flat turnkey price for the install minus the paint, because they might do it themselves. But if I know that there are some issues, and if we rip open those windows and all of a sudden we're ripping off, more than we thought of in terms of siding to expose more rot
Like
that
for an
we couldn't
example,
see.
like the frames, like you're pulling out the windows, and all of a sudden like the siding connected to the window is pulling out. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking on your screen. You've got casing on the bottom of your window and on the
Yeah.
side of your
Yeah.
window. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got to pop that out on the inside. We got to
Mm-hmm.
pop that off the outside. And we've got to take the entire window and frame out and put in a whole new window and frame, and then put the trim back on both sides.
So you're saying if it gets past the window when you're ripping out?
Yeah. Or more likely under.
Okay.
Yeah. Where an improperly flashed window is letting water leak, and the framing kind of under your trim there by that ottoman could be rotten.
Yeah,
And
I see what you mean. Yeah.
there's no way to know until you pop the window out and look down there. If you
Mm-hmm.
pop the window out and it's like, okay, we're good, put in the new window, this price ain't changing. If we pop out the window and it goes, that's black and chippy and moldy, and I grabbed a 2x4 and now it's sawdust in my hands,
Yeah.
we need to cut that out and replace that. That's one of those, like, it's going to cost what it costs. We're going to go buy what we need. It's going to take this many hours, and it will be a change order, because it's like you can't not fix it.
Yeah.
You're handcuffed.
Yeah.
If you're the homeowner, you can't. You just, that's atrocious. So you have to. So but that's one of those ones where you just, you be accurate, you don't gouge, you make sure you're double checking, in my case, that the carpenter is if he's doing hours, he's really there and working, or it's a fixed fee or something like that. And you just, you have to be clear with your clients, communicate with your clients, and, just be an open book about it. It's really all you can do.
Yeah.
It's just be an open book about it. It's I don't know when I learned it. I think I just kind of picked it up by doing the job a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the more open and honest you can be about every facet about how you operate and their job, to an extent, because there will be a moment where you are overwhelming people who don't do this every day. And there's a balance there, just like I mentioned with finance people. I could come off real smart if I just wanted to, like, drop code variations and talk about different types of bolts and blah. Like, I could come off real smart real quick and confuse the shit out of you. But that's not the move. That doesn't really help. Like, you don't want, as a customer, you don't want to be made to feel dumb.
Yeah.
That doesn't help, because
Especially in your own home.
Yeah, even if you don't feel dumb in the moment, you're going to leave and be like, I didn't really get that. I didn't log it. I didn't really understand what he was talking about. I can't regurgitate that to my husband or wife or partner or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not the way. You don't want to leave that way. You want to leave like, oh, I understand something more about my home than I did. And I feel confident in this dude's ability to do what he said he's going to do. And I understood what he's going to do. And it's for both reasonable and appropriate pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, yes, so much easier said than done. But, you and I are the same. And we had to kind of learn that skill on how you use industry terms, but dumb them down a hair for the average homeowner. Because the average homeowner does not know what a toggle bolt is, what a capacitor is on an HVAC, what a deck ledger is. a joist hanger, a joist for that matter. Like this is German to most homeowners. I've been in people's homes where they don't own a drill. Like there's no toolbox in the home. And I'm like, well, how do you hang a picture? And they're like, we have a handyman. I'm like, like this is just I can't comprehend that, but I have to like mentally check myself and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is a great customer. It's not their fault that they are a car salesman and a doctor. Like that's a different life path. They don't need tools. They need me. So be the guy, be undeniable, be respectful, be helpful, leave them with the smile that they were upset when you got there and I fixed whatever it was. Like, we share that exact same mentality of like, okay, how do we help? And, for you, it's a little bit more direct of like, oh shit, we have no heat and air, or we have no AC and we need it now. A chiller, that could be a restaurant that's about to lose a bunch of food in the walk-in. For me, it's a little different and a stretched out process where it's mostly like, okay, I'm a homeowner. I have an insane dream. And how do we make that dream a reality? And I have to basically interpret your dreams, put them on something that'll get a permit passed, and then figure out how to make it a reality. And it takes a lot of work. And there's a lot of people that are involved in that process, including HVAC specialists.
How many years have you been doing this now?
So let's see. Officially licensed it was like 10, 11 years ago.
Okay.
But I mean, even at Oakwood, I was building sets for the theater department.
Yeah.
And in college, I was building sets for theater class. And I don't think you ever came over to my house, but like I got a wood shop at my house. I don't think bigger than most people's bedrooms.
Yeah, I don't think I ever came over to your house. No.
Yeah, I mean, like my dad's an architect, my mom's an interior designer, and when I was a kid, it was a tiny little, lake house cabin in upstate New York. Now it's this massive house, extension on extension, built on extension on extension, and if it happened during the summer, I was working with the guys. If it happened during the school year, I would drop the book bag and work the last 2 hours with them till they left at like 4:30 or 5 and then do homework or whatever. So I was always around it constantly. I, at 7 years old, learned I could hammer with both hands. It's just like one arm got tired and I just switched. And the dudes looked at me like, that's special, right? And I was like, no, my arm just hurts. They're like, no, it's special. We can't do that. We've been doing this our whole lives. And then for me, also just the fascination with the smell of sawdust, especially like cutting cedar. Oh man, that smell is just incredible.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
but I'm a unique combination of like my parents, both of them in the trade adjacent, and then growing up with a wood shop and growing up on 30 acres. And also growing up with like, there's always these sheds on our property stacked with old lumber from an extension because my dad was like, I'm not returning it. We'll just stack it over there. So as a kid, I needed nobody's permission to just grab 3 boards from a stack and turn them into a box and nail it together and use it for something. Like it just, I needed nobody's permission. I would just do it. And, my pops bought me a book on Adirondack furniture when I was a kid. We made a chair and a table together, so it was definitely a flame that was fanned and nurtured as a kid. And it just became the clear path to combine something I don't mind, something I love a little bit, and the ability to never really work for anybody. Because I can't work for somebody. I can't have a boss. So it's not gonna happen. So
more power to the people that are able to,
Yeah, running a business sucks. I don't like that part. I don't know anybody who's an entrepreneur who's like, my favorite part is my accountant. Like, no, that part sucks. There's no sugarcoating it. But I wouldn't trade it. mostly for the mental flexibility. I don't really do anything work or customer related before 11. I like to have my mornings to myself. I like to
Mhm.
spend a lot of time in the gym. I like to hang out with my dog. I like to, get my house clean. And then at 10:30, check the calendar and be like, okay, we're doing a pod at 11. We're doing a coffee at 2. We're meeting this customer at 2:30. Let's call the window guy who was working, you know, and it works for me. And um, but I went through some mental lows where I realized I needed that. But that is not really relevant to the construction world. That's just, people need
No,
to figure out their mental health on their own level. Um,
yeah, like
and it's a
going.
big key.
I try to think about like what really inspired me to do this, and I really think the answer is it's a little it's more it's an obvious answer, but it's more so turning into my own answer, if that makes sense. Like the whole reason why I went into HVAC was just because like I've seen my father like it's he's a big reason for why I do a lot of the things that I do, just not only because it's just we're kind of separate in terms of just our relationship and stuff like that, and I try to do things that get his approval, you know what I'm saying? Like it started off as an approval thing, but it turns into that it turns into those things where you realize that this is maybe something that I should have been doing for a long time. So like there's been numerous things where I've been trying to do, whether it's jobs or just things to get approval from my father. And like I'm willing to admit that because I know other people have that problem too. Like my father was in my life, but he just wasn't always there, if that made sense. So I never really was able to he never really was able to see my growth, nor was I kind of portraying it to him just because we were so divided my growing up and just him just working and just being busy. Right now I'm trying to prove it to myself more so now than trying to prove to my father that I am like not worthy, but just I'm able to mesh with something. And I think that one of my problems growing up is that I'm trying to find where I mesh. And it's just so fulfilling to finally feel that like you fit in. And at the same time, like I see my dad's approval. And it's like I don't want to make it about that, but it really was about that, and it's morphing into my my own dreams and my own goals. Like your parents, they live through you, and I realize that, but at the same time I need to realize that I have to live for myself, and I am doing what I want to do, and nobody can take that from me.
That's beautiful, man. I think that's so incredible, both for you personally and also anybody who might be listening, because there's no way that that's a unique thing. Sons crave the approval of their fathers. That's a standard human thing.
Yeah.
And people who grow up without fathers, they crave a father figure. That's a crucial part of development missed. My dad is in my life, and have, I've morphed just like you did, where everything I did was about getting their approval, making them proud. Um, and now it's not at all.
Exactly.
And, but that's part of going from a boy to a man, I think,
Mhm.
as we sit here with our beards. And
Hell yeah.
if Oakwood, Will, and Corbett could see us
I
now,
know,
right?
right?
Yeah.
I definitely did not have this at Oakland. I think it took me
No,
till like 21. I didn't grow a beard till like 21. Like,
dude, at Oakwood, I was beardless. I was overweight. I was 2.5 feet taller than everybody. I
yeah,
was
yeah,
10
crazy.
octaves louder than everybody. It's like, Could you stand out more? Nope. I guess I could have worn an orange jumpsuit. Oh wait, I did do that.
Yeah.
Um,
That orange coat, I think. Oh my God.
no,
Yeah.
you remember the orange
Oh
jumpsuit that
yeah,
I
yeah.
found Halloween?
Yes.
Yeah, I wore it on Blue and White Day. Well, I don't know why, just anarchy. Yeah, it was like students were bringing their parents and stuff for like
Yeah.
a school spirit week, and it was Blue and White Day. And I thought it would be hilarious to wear an orange jumpsuit and stand outside the gym and welcome everybody in. And then Anna Bertucci on Monday was like, "We need to talk about why you're insane." And I was like, "Go to hell. I don't like you."
Oh my God. Yo, that's so funny, man. Um,
That school was so happy when I was gone.
dude, when my class left, that's when everybody left, like the teachers and everything. So I think they missed us.
Yeah.
Like when I was a freshman, so that means you were a sophomore, and then I'm trying to think, was Ray Silky
Ray
Shake?
was Shoki was
My freshman
he was
year
a year
was
older than me. No,
my
we were in the same year.
yeah, my freshman year was when everybody, I feel like that was the most whole it's ever been, because you remember like you remember Caroline and Josie and
Yep.
Ian
The
and
year above us.
yeah,
Or
like
the
I
year
felt
above me. Yeah.
yeah, and then the junior year, I can't think. Was Teddy in your year? I don't
I
think
think
so. No,
Teddy
no.
was a year younger than me.
Yeah, yeah,
His brother was a senior when I
yeah.
was a freshman because he
Yes,
was the clerk. He was
yes,
the like one running the morning meetings.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember that. Um, but yeah,
Dude, Teddy could ball.
dude.
That
I remember,
dude had some
dude.
talent
Yo,
on the
shout out,
basketball
shout
court.
out to Teddy. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
probably one of the first. Him and Rumac, I remember. No, Rumac was crazy on the soccer field, but I
Yep.
remember because Teddy was left-handed, and I've never seen a left-handed basketball player play the way like he played. And you had to get ready because you're used to like the right hand getting, like his left hand was so fast that you had to like have your hands up all the time because he was slinging that thing.
And then I remember he like came back, between one school year and the next school year, and he had like 8 extra inches on his vertical jump because he did some like jump training thing. And we were like, whoa, okay, I'm not gonna make varsity. I'm gonna watch this dude. And I'll cheer for him and Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis. Yo, Oakwood soccer and basketball was really good at one point. I remember the basketball team was really good.
Yeah, when
Baseball
I
team.
remember when Tim left and Pete took over
Mm.
from JV coach
Yeah.
to head coach, and he literally was like, "I'm Coach Carter." He completely copied that. He was like, "I'm going to make y'all wear ties and
Yeah.
jackets, and we're going to do team study hall." We were literally like, "Dude, you are copying the Coach Carter movie. Like, none of this is your like. We have television. Like Samuel Jackson's a big deal. What do you do?" He's like, "Well, it's going to work." I was like, "Okay." I wasn't on varsity, but Kevin, my roommate, was, and like it was very ridiculous, but they were really really good. Yeah,
I
I
remember.
missed that tennis team, man. We were
Oh yeah,
decent.
the tennis. Yeah, yeah. You guys were good at tennis too. I remember all the day students that eventually became boarders because boarding was low key like pretty badass because everybody wanted the board. I remember JP boarded.
Yep.
Everybody boarded at least
Steve,
like one
his older
semester
brother boarded.
because it was fun. It was fun
Yep.
being away from home. Like it was fun. And like that's the one thing that Oakwood, it made me get over that homesick hump that like a lot of like kids had and stuff like that. And like I was a homebody. Like I loved being around my mom, my dad. I loved being around them like all the time. So going to Oakwood, such a culture shock, dude.
Oh, we were the opposite. I literally was a boarding kid because I needed to get away from my mom and dad. And they were like, "We're not going to send you to a school closer than
Yeah.
your other school by 5 minutes and pay more money for you to sleep there." And I was like, "But I wanna."
That was the excuse for my parents. It's only 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's only 15 minutes away. I'm
Yeah.
like, whatever. The rest is history.
Yeah. Oh man. Good
That's where I learned
times.
how to do laundry.
Me too.
Just it's
Egan taught me.
I just
Remember Egan?
yes, yes,
He was the only international student from St. Thomas, I want to
yeah,
say. It's
yeah.
one of the islands.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was like, hey man, I see you doing laundry and I am 14 and I have never done this before. So could you just give me like a quick walkthrough? And his look on his face, he was like, are you serious? Are you serious? I was like, I'm 14. You've been here 3 years. Just show me once. I swear. I was like,
It's so true,
okay,
dude.
this if you want it to shrink. And I was like, dude, look at me. We can't have stuff shrinking. I'm already too big. This is not, no. He was like, okay, cold water.
Yeah, yeah. I remember, and I think it was free too. I'm pretty sure it was free.
Yeah,
At
I had
least
to pay for it in my other boarding school. I could not believe
really,
it. You had to go buy from the school
like a
special
card.
tokens
Yeah,
and then put these stupid tokens in the machine.
like college.
I was like, you guys are nuts. This school costs so much money. Just
I
plug in the
probably,
washer.
I probably still have $2 on my freaking laundry card because it would always like, there would always like leave money on it because you would put like $10 on it, but it would cost like $9 to do the laundry. So you would have that $1 left on the card. So like, you're not gonna get that dollar back.
Yeah,
Like
Wick bucks, I think they called it for Hartwick.
really,
Yeah,
really.
Wick bucks. Yeah, I definitely used all that because I got off campus junior and senior year. So I had like my own apartment, my own laundry and
Mm,
stuff. And I was like, I didn't even get a meal plan anymore. I was like, hey, mom, you were going to put this much money on the meal plan. Just give me that much money. I'll go to the
exactly.
grocery store. And she was like, I have been waiting for this day. Let me buy you a frying pan.
Yeah.
Like word, let's do it. This is silly.
That's like just like my college. It was like
Yeah.
the meal plan. It was like a joke. Just food was just the food was just you never knew what the hell you're gonna eat.
The food was so much better than I lied to myself that it was. I definitely can admit it now. Like in college, there's nothing appealing about a salad bar. At 32, I'm like, why was I not at that salad bar
I
twice a
know.
day? Like there
I
was
know.
grilled chicken there was fresh carrots, but
And not to mention Oakwood, we ate very like we didn't like yeah, it was probably like weird looking, but we ate very good at Oakwood. Like they
oh
fed
yeah,
us
that's
very
true.
well.
That's true. Yeah,
They
yeah.
fed us like it was always home cooked and it never tasted like bad. I mean, there was some meals I didn't eat. Like I think there was like this beef stroganoff crap that I never ate like ever for like all 4 years. I never ate it.
Dude, it
Yo,
was good. You missed out.
do you remember the day that they would feed us rice and beans based on the ticket that we got? It was like
I don't have that memory.
it wasn't work. I know you remember work share day, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't work share day. It was like it was like literally it was like African tribe day where you have to pick up a piece of paper and it told you whether you're eating rice and beans, or you could eat the full meal. You don't remember that?
I don't think I was there for that.
Really?
Maybe that started after I got kicked
Maybe.
out. I don't remember that at all.
You couldn't even I hate that I said African tribe. That's the first thing that came to me. But like you couldn't even sit at the table. It was like, and then like you couldn't leave campus to go get like McDonald's or
I was gonna
whatever.
say I would just order some Quiznos from
Couldn't.
around the corner.
And then you'd like get in trouble. Yeah, I don't. Maybe they started it after you left. I don't know, but I
I
remember.
remember Rumac and I leaving campus against the rules on snow days because they were like, okay, it's a snow day, but you all live here. So chill in the dorm. Here's some hot cocoa. But you can't leave campus. And I remember looking at Rumac like, yo, you want to walk to the Quiznos? Because they don't deliver. And he was like, yes, I do. I was like, let's go. Let's run it. And I
That's
remember like we jogged it out and we went the long way past the soccer
I know
fields,
what you're
out the
talking
front
about.
gate, right down the highway. I remember calling the Quiznos guy. I was like, I will give you $5 to drive this up here. He was like, we can't do that. I was like, okay, we are on the way.
You remember? I don't remember her name because obviously it's probably not her name because there was a lot of, you know what I'm saying. one of the Asian students that we went to school with, she got hit by a car on Spackenkill Road. I don't think you were there. And then Peter straight up outlawed that whole road. Like if you were like going
Oh shit.
in like if you were seen going across, he would suspend you. Some
Wow, with his little red minivan.
it
That
was
dude
just,
was weird. Can
yeah,
we just as adults be like, why
no
does that
eyelids.
dude have a waist this big and a regular body that goes in normal directions? Also, why do you not have a significant other? Why do you drive a minivan? And why are you the head of a school? Like, just none of this added up. I'm sorry, but like I didn't question it at 15, but at 32, I'm like, there are some red
Yeah.
flags
Yeah.
before I send my kid to be under this educator.
I don't know. I never felt safe, I guess. But I never felt like scared, but I totally understand with in terms of just like I don't know, his presence was kind of weird. I'm
His
not gonna lie.
presence was creepy.
I
The
remember when he
creepiest moment I ever had was when he was waiting in my room after I came back from Christmas break when I got in the trouble. And I was like, "Oh, hello, Peter." He's like, "We need to go up to the dining hall. Robert, the dorm parent, is waiting up there for us. We need to have a discussion." And I was like, "Okay." And that was the end of that.
I honestly I can think of everybody that got kicked out, but I honestly I don't remember why everybody did. I remember why Curtis.
I'll tell you why when we end this. I can fill you in real easy, my man.
I'm not gonna bring it up, but I'm trying to remember. But the majority was because people
The
were
infamous
smoking.
12.
Oh,
The infamous 12 of
now I
us. Yep.
remember. Now I remember. Yep. But the majority was because people were smoking inside of the buildings, and that was like a zero tolerance. I remember
Oh,
that.
see, now that
I
I
re-
don't remember at all.
yeah.
That's a
Yep.
completely different. I was not a cigarette smoker, so I didn't like I
You could light a lighter and
but
you
I
would get kicked out.
remember now that I think about it, Morrow
Yep.
was smoking cigarettes in that shed behind the dorm. And I think he just got away with it because his mother taught Spanish.
And I think
Marisa.
yeah, Marisa, and I think the loophole was because it wasn't in one of the buildings. I
He
remember,
was also 19.
yeah,
So like when the smoking age is it, remember
yep,
that you mentioned how, you didn't really actually know that woman's real name. For context, for people who are like, what are you talking about? We had a massive Korean population in the
yeah.
dorm and they all had Americanized nicknames.
Mhm.
And this one dude, can't remember his real name, but he went by Red, Red. He was 21 years old as a senior and
What?
he was just burning cigarettes all day long. And I found out later on that Nathan, our dean, just knew and told him, like, you cannot be seen and just like you're allowed and no one else is allowed. And if anyone asks, you're not allowed. But he was like, I'm 21. I've been smoking since I was 15. This is a different culture thing wherever he
Wow.
was from. And
Yeah.
actually, I don't think he was Korean. I think
Oh,
he
he
might have
wasn't Asian?
been, he was Asian, but I think he
Oh,
might have been Japanese.
yeah.
Um, Red, if you're listening, I really am sorry that I don't remember if you were Japanese or Korean, but I do remember like that being a thing and him being like, I'm 21. I screwed up and I need to finish high school, but like I'm gonna smoke. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like
Was this your freshman year?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, because that's so I wasn't there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he graduated and then you came in. But when the school that I graduated from had a smoking section,
Oh wow.
if you were because there were a lot of kids that got thrown out of other schools and sent to this school. And if you were, I want to say 17 or older, and you needed your parents' permission, you could smoke in this one little paved section with two benches. And it was so strict that you couldn't even go over there if you didn't have the permission. So
Wow.
like I couldn't even like I had
To hang
friends who
out with your
smoked and
friends.
I
Yeah.
couldn't just like hang out. I had to like wait for him to finish his cigarette and then be like, want to go to the gym and shoot basketball or whatever. Like it was
That's
hilarious.
crazy.
Yeah. But like that part always freaked me out. And I asked the faculty about it. And they were like, we just get too many international students to limit that ability, because we
Yeah.
had, at Oxford, where I graduated from, I mean, we had a Saudi prince, we had dudes
Really?
from the islands, we had Asian kids, Indian kids, and I mean, especially the Saudi dude. He was like, I smoke all day. This is not a thing for, we just do this. And I was like, that
I
makes sense.
remember I remember like at the end of the year when all the seniors would be graduating and all their parents. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, okay. I remember at the end of the year when all the Asian parents would come to support their kids for graduating, they would all be smoking in the in the where we played frisbee, the
Yeah.
quad. They would
Yep.
all be smoking in the quad, and it's like Oakwood would like live off the veil for a week to let
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. They would
you know what
just
I'm
let it
saying?
get, because I remember Ben Vartarian,
Martini. Yep.
tiny little dude, super good
Yep.
at sports.
Yep.
His dad smoked.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Nathan would
Yes.
like give him shit and be like, look, we know you smoke. You got to just like do it in the car or whatever. And I remember like seeing him, it would be like halftime for basketball game. And we'd like run out of this super sweaty gym into the winter air to cool down. And I'd like see his dad smoking. I was like, why is he being so
Yeah.
secretive? And he'd be like, yeah, my dad smokes. Nathan gave him a bunch of shit. I was like, if I was an adult paying the amount of money it costs to send my kid to this school, I would be able to smoke wherever I want. Like, that's bullshit. Like, you could not tell me, like, no would be my answer. Politely go away. And that was basically my dad's approach every time Nathan tried to tell him anything.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, he's my kid, not your kid. Like, my dad popped me out of school to go to a Yankee game one day, and I missed a tennis match. And it was like a big deal because I forgot to tell Ron, the coach.
Oh my God,
And
Rod.
yeah, I
Rod.
love Ron.
I love Rod. I
He
love
gave
Rod.
me that coaches award that year. The only tennis award. It's right there. And here we go. We're doing this.
You got it. You might as well.
Here it is, right here. Oakwood Friends, boys tennis coaches
Boys,
award.
not even men,
Nope,
boys.
no, we're not men at 16. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Boys.
Ian Kratzky moved down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I ran into him one
wow.
time. Told him to hit me up. Haven't heard from him since. I think he's a doctor in Chapel Hill.
Okay, Ian Kratzky. I can
Yeah.
only think of one thing, but
He looked exactly the same.
really,
Yeah.
I remember me and him fighting over Ivy. I remember that. Just had to throw that out there.
Fighting over what?
Over Ivy.
Oh my God.
I had to.
Oh my God, the high school drama, man.
Oh my God, it never.
The high school. No,
but
it
no,
never
me
ends.
and him were cold. She was the one that was just all over the place. But whatever. But
Well, we're just throwing Ivy under the bus right now. Damn.
Clearly, I'm not over that. Clearly. But
Ivy, hit up your boy Will. He'll take you out to dinner. He's got that HVAC money.
Get that HVAC money, yeah. But that's a small world though. That's cool that you saw him and everything. But you said he's a doctor?
I believe so. Yeah, I saw him at a Ponysaurus. It's a brewery down here. I was out there with like my kickball team or something like that, and I just looked over and I saw him, and I was just like, Ian. And he looked up, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And then I heard like some of his other friends be like, is there anyone down here you don't know? Like, apparently he had run into like 6 other people or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then yeah, I don't know, we chatted for like 5 seconds, and I was like, yeah, let's go get lunch or something. I never heard from him again. But I ran into this guy Eric Bodie. I was roommates with one of his fraternity brothers, and we both linked up at said fraternity brother's bachelor party. And then like 3 weeks ago, I went to Talbert's Lumber Supply, was doing this like deck expo where a bunch of deck builders and people who make Trek and people who make like railings and stuff were promoting their new products. And he was the check-in dude at the front.
Really?
Gate. And he was like, what's your name? I was like, it's Corbett Storick. And he looks up and he's like, what's up? I was like, Eric, what are you doing here? So yeah, that's the crazy. World is very, very small. Yeah, it's crazy.
And a couple of years ago when I worked for Amazon, I was in Cold Spring rather. And you remember Will? Big tall Will?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
I delivered to his parents, and I was like, oh my God, I like,
yeah.
and I was like, how's Will doing and everything. I haven't seen anyone from that class, because I think that's the class that I was talking about with Ian and all them and Joe. I'm pretty sure I haven't
Yeah.
seen that class in like forever. I hope everyone's doing well and everything. I haven't seen anybody from our class. I mean, like from
I,
my class,
you know, if it wasn't for Facebook, I wouldn't even keep up with you, man.
literally.
Like the
Yes.
only person I can actually say that efforts have been made is my boy Jay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but like he's, you know, every time I go back up to my parents in New York, I think he's in Poughkeepsie now, so we always link up, and he's actually driven down here I think like 4 times for
Really?
extended weekends just to
Wow.
crash
Yeah.
and kick it. Most recently for the color party where everybody picked a color and they had to bring food with that color. And Jay was a combo of black and brown, or sorry, tan and brown. And this dude blew it out of the park. He showed up with 5 pizzas in brown pizza boxes. He drove all night with New York pizza
What?
and 2 bottles of dark brown liquor for the party. And I was like, dude, one, you spent more than everybody. Two, you killed it. Like you won. You won the
What?
game.
Color
Yeah.
party? That's an awesome idea.
Dude, it's very simple concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
It's just a
think that there's
matter.
not food in a certain color, but like once you get going, I
It's
bet
the
there's
packaging. It's the
yeah.
packaging. It's not the food. It's the
Oh, it's the
packaging.
packaging.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So like, you know, I bought like Reese's cups and oranges and Reese's Puff cereal, and I put it in Home Depot buckets because they're
Yeah, yeah.
orange. And
That's
yeah,
cool.
and but it was actually a lot of fun.
I
Everybody
bet.
brought like something in their cool little basket. And then towards the end of the party, we just dumped it all on my dining room table. And we were like, cool, take your now empty basket and fill it up with your favorites. There's no
Yeah.
way I could keep 18 bags of chips. Like, is
Yeah.
this, if this one's your favorite, take it right now. Everyone take a slice of the cake. Everyone take pizza to go. Like, all I did was cook burgers and dogs for everybody. And it was a lot of fun. But
That's cool.
I'm kind of, I'm a huge like nerd dork. I'm a lover of just hosting gatherings. I kind of redid my whole kitchen and back deck for hosting and gatherings, and I get a kick out of it. And Wheelie Bear, my dog, really loves just the more people that he can get a belly rub from.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm, that's my jam. But I grew up with that. My parents always threw these massive like potluck summer parties, and it was 150 people would show up, everyone would bring a dish. And so I grew up with that my whole life. It's kind of just ingrained like in my personality.
Hmm.
um yeah, well, dude, this was so much fun.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, if you're
Yeah.
in the I don't know, upstate New York or just the general tri-state area, what's the easiest way to get Botini and therefore you out there to service your HVAC needs?
I think the best way is I mean, you gotta know you gotta know what you want. Every tech is different. Um, and every time I go to a person's home, I always tell them, like I said before, like that they're like you're in good hands. Whenever they offer me a tip or whatever, I usually tell them to keep it because I want them to call the company and ask for me because I want them to feel some type of confidence because not only do I want to feel confident in what I did today, I want you to feel confident in what I did today because you may not have any idea of what I did, but if there's some sense of comfortability, I don't want to leave your home unless you feel comfortable because I spend more time checking my work than I do actually the work because it takes no time to change a part. It takes no time to fix a leak. It takes no time to do that, depending on the severity of the problem. You need to check and balance everything that you do in life because not only do you want to come back, have an opportunity to continue your work, but you need to bring a sense of repertoire with your work. So when people call Botini and request me, they need to realize that not only are they in good hands, but they have someone who's been around and knows what the person wants to hear, not sugar coated, but at the same time delivering a message that is accurate and true.
And is it just like 1-800 Botini or Botini.com or?
Oh yeah, yeah. In terms of that, it's botinifuel.com. But also there is a hotline. It's 845-297-5580. That'll bring you right to the girls in the desk to request me. And at the same time to feel just to feel an essence of what's going on in that company. Because you can feel it the minute that they pick up the phone.
Yeah, I mean, they are the quintessential American dream of like started from the bottom and now they are massive. I
Yes.
remember, they were not that big in terms of, I should clarify. I don't actually know, but when I was a kid, I saw their fuel trucks
Yeah,
and
all the
I
time.
I thought that they were literally just like you called them to fill up your propane tank. They drove their truck. They filled it up. They left. You paid them by the pound type of thing.
Yeah.
I had no idea that they did, the installs, the services, the whatnot. If that was done, if that expansion of the company happened in the last 20 years, then I was thinking correctly that they just expanded over the time. But
It's about the company's about 50 years old. I believe it's either 64 or 65, so it's about to be 100 years old. And they only had a couple trucks and started in the back streets of the Wappingers Falls, right near right around 9D. Like
yeah,
so, and they've been buying and just expanding not only the company but as well as the customers and the clientele. Because when you buy up like one company, obviously the customers come along. I've seen more newer clients just from more people feeling confident in our skills as well as us buying just the contract out. But
right. Buying out the
I
competition.
but I see more and more people confidence growing with Botini because they're always talking about how like we're always there in the middle of the night. Not every company has a 24-hour service.
Yep.
A lot of companies do just deliver the oil, do just installs, but very rarely do you have an overall company like Botini that really does it all. Like we do,
Yeah.
like we'll do like the sheetrock work too and stuff. Like I've been on jobs where I've helped somebody with sheetrock just to get into a crawl space and then we'd have to board it back up. And then just other stuff. I've been introduced to so many other things other than HVAC, and it's because of Botini. And like when I first got into this field, a lot of people were saying like, wow, a lot of doors are going to open. A lot of doors are going to open. And I didn't really truly understand what that meant until here I am now, like all the doors that are truly open in terms of people you meet, skills that you learn, and just life lessons.
That's above average for an HVAC company. Like I don't want to speak for Maynard out of turn, but I don't know if they would repatch the drywall. They would probably hire me to repatch it and I'd give them a bill and then the whole bill would be given to the customer. Um, Again, I don't want to speak for them, but at least some of Maynard's competition, I know for a fact, without naming names, they're just not set up for that. They're just not, they don't have a drywall crew and then a painting crew and a patch crew. And nobody who's
It's
listening
more
realizes that a patch actually takes a lot of time because there's days of dry time with drywall mud and paint and primer and stuff.
it's not so much like a drywall team that we have. It's just the skills that my coworkers have. It's like they have skills outside of the job, which creates jobs. So like as long as they're not stealing Botini customers, like you can find work through Botini customers if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I've had numerous coworkers get fired because they'll do service for a Botini customer, the first thing you should find out if you're working at a Botini customers, like doing a side job or whatever, you got to find out if they have a contract or not, because you could lose their job. That's the only thing that's scary. But either way, they allow you to do side jobs as long as you're not interfering with Botini money,
Right.
which makes
I mean, that
perfect
makes
sense.
perfect sense.
Makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
It's that. Yes. I mean,
Like the only reason,
they took the
and
time to build the reputation, to get the client, to work out the contract,
exactly.
to buy the trucks, and build the business, and they have a contract, and that, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And like the only reason you're in there doing a side job for that family is because of Botini bringing you into that house in the first place. And that's
Right.
what I don't think people realize. And like
Yeah.
anybody that gets upset about that, like go do something else.
Yeah. I mean, if you're getting upset about that, you're the same person who like gets upset at the Barbie movie or something like
Exactly.
that. Like
Yeah.
you need to just, change your own diaper and figure out why you hate the world, because that's the way the world works. That company took a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and effort to build a business up to the point where it's that big and almost running on itself, to create that customer list and keep that customer list. That's a huge aspect. So, you're just trying to save the customer $10 by giving them $140 thing instead of $150 thing. Like, no, you just stole. It's not theft for the law, like you walked out of Best Buy with a TV, but you stole that
Exactly.
customer. And there's a lot of effort off paper to get that customer and continued use of that customer. So
Exactly.
that's, yeah, I think that Botini should be firing those people, but also
Yeah.
good for them to let them do some side work. If you send a tech out there to do thing and they do it perfectly, and then they go, hey, do you know anybody who could build a deck? And you build decks on the side and you do it on a weekend when you're not bothering Botini. Great. That's awesome. In fact,
Open door.
yeah, give Botini $50 for getting you that. I've had that kind of arrangement happen, but like, the other way around, where you just are like, oh yeah, don't call them, just call me, I'll
Yeah,
service
yeah.
it for you. What are you doing? What are you
Yeah.
doing? That's
Like,
some sketchy shit.
yeah, and you wonder why you don't have a job on Monday because
Right. And as a homeowner, take advice from the two of us. That's not the person you want. That's
exactly.
not the right person. It's very different if you get a high up person from Botini who says, don't worry about it this time, because you've called us so many times and you're going to keep calling us. That's a decision made at corporate, for lack of a better term. But if the hypothetical version of Will goes and says, oh, okay, I fixed it this time, next time it breaks, call my cell and I'll give it to you for half price rather than Botini, that's a red freaking flag for you as a customer.
Yeah.
You should immediately tell the higher ups at the company that this rep said this, that they're trying to do this.
And
That
I
is,
can think of a real quick scenario that happened actually a couple months ago. Somebody went to somebody's house. They had a hot air furnace and they had a hot water heater that was using oil to burn to burn. So they cleaned the furnace and then they went to go clean the hot water heater on the side. So he cleaned the hot water heater on the side and took cash on the side, even though it was contracted to be cleaned by Botini. Now the hot water heater stopped working. So now the homeowner called the first guy, he didn't help. So now the homeowner called the Botini and said, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And then that technician unfortunately got caught and then he got fired. Like
I think you got to change your terminology. He fortunately got caught and fired.
Yeah.
Screw that dude.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
It's not.
Like, he had a nice career. He had a good job. He was given a work van that he didn't have to oil change. Like, that dude is looking at life half empty instead of half full. That's a perspective problem for that human. And don't get me wrong, you and me, especially me, I've had problems looking at the glass half empty, half full. Like, that's a perspective thing. It usually has nothing to do with the actual job. That's a life thing that had to be changed in that dude's head. And I don't know what's going on in that dude's life. I don't know if he has to replace a transmission on a car, or he's got a cancer patient kid that he's trying to come up with money for bills. who knows? And I don't want to say who cares, but who cares? Like, that's just not the way you do business. And he jeopardized, or almost jeopardized, excuse me, the reputation of Botini. And they worked really hard for that reputation. Now, I'm sure Botini just figured it out and solved it and fired that guy, like you said. And I'm sure the customer is happy, or I assume the customer is happy. But, not every company has the resources like Botini to just snap their fingers and make it right. If you were just starting out and you just got to the size of your company just by this much, where you could bring on another person in a van, and that guy did that to you, it's a little harder for you to make it right. That's like, oh shit, I got to actually lose the profit on the next 2 jobs to make this right. Now I got to fire a dude. Now I'm down a van. Now I got to rearrange some schedules. I got to put a wanted out. I got to hire a person. I got to vet a person. Like, it adds up real quick. Whereas Botini's, like, they've, for lack of a better term, they were at the top of the mountain, especially in geographically where they're at. They're top dog.
Yeah.
So not that it's like any easier, but they have some, they can delegate and be like, okay, put the wanted ad that we've had typed up for a while back up on LinkedIn or whatever. And, scheduling lady, juggle, but you can do it. It's different. And screw
versus
that
me like having to deal with everything on a company that's starting, and it creates bad work ethic. If you're doing that now, you're going to keep doing it, and then you're just going to ruin your own repertoire.
Yeah. And I mean, I've run into that example, not necessarily like where I had to fire somebody for that particular thing, but like, I'm small enough time where I needed my plumber. He was on vacation. My backup was unavailable. I told the people we couldn't start the job in 2 weeks. They had a hard deadline to get the church bathroom finished by Easter, and I didn't get the job. And that's like, if I was a huge construction firm with 3 in-house plumbers, I would have gotten that job. But I'm just not that guy. So it's like, I can bitch and moan. I can tell them they're being idiots, that they're going to pay more or whatever. Or I can just say, I get it. You have a deadline I can't complete it by. Call me on the next one. Maybe we can work it out. There's ways of handling it. And, younger, more depressed Corbett would have really taken that shit to heart and would have been like mad at those clients, deleted them from my phone, yelled at my plumber when he came back, you cost me this job. More mature, less depressed Corbett today is like, okay, let's figure out how to not let this happen. Let's get a backup plumber. Let's get 2 backup plumbers. Let's think more about how we can work on faster deadlines. Maybe we need to just add a little bit more money when speed is involved, so that I can use that as incentive to get a different plumber in and be like, look, man, I'll give you $500 extra that I've worked into the budget to get this done a week quicker. I need you to push some other job. Money talks, but you have to go through those life lessons to pick up the lesson. There's no real way around it. Well, snap, man, we have been gabbing forever. I think we got to wrap this one up, my man.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun, Wilton. I really appreciate it. You're probably the only high school friend I know who is in the trades and went into it the non-conventional way. So I think your story is very valuable, especially to somebody similar to our age or younger, especially, who might have college being pushed on them very hard.
Yep.
And, I'm not shitting on college, but there are other options and they should be explored equally. And I really appreciate you coming on and just sharing your life lessons with us, man.
Yeah, man. It's one of the things that I'm trying to hone in on is just being who I needed when I was younger. So I'm glad that you said that the whole thing, that this definitely can relate to other people, because that's literally what I'm trying to portray. I'm trying to be the person who I needed when I was young, and you have to be the change or nothing will change.
Wow, that's well said, my man. I wish you didn't say that, because now I have to go into my shameless plug of CRS Contracting is sponsoring this podcast. If you need me, 845-489-6057, Corb at WSDG. And as always, the Orange Hammer podcast is on all of the platforms. Please like and subscribe, and go out there and live your life lessons and be the change.
Yeah,
There you go.
And then once again, I just wanted to say honored, absolutely honored to be on this show, because I see the growth in this show, and I'm honored to be a part of the growth. So
we are honored to have you on here, man, and hopefully it just keeps growing, and likewise for you. And let's do another episode, man.
Yeah, I'm down, man. Put me in the schedule. I'm ready.
Let's go. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Bye, everybody.
See you later.